Lucille Chacon is suing her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, for damage after Seth attacked her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3105, Chacon versus Kaufman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Chacon, you are here today because you believe that the defendant is responsible for damage that was done to your car.
Yes.
Your car that was being driven by your grandson.
Yes.
This is the grandson.
Yes.
They had some altercation, and one or both of them may have gotten a little bit injured during the course of the altercation. But what took the most of a beating was your automobile.
Yes.
Were you present during that incident?
Not while the incident was happening, but I did come out later on.
Well, I'm not interested in what happened later on, because the defendant's position is that it was your grandson that precipitated this whole problem, and he was merely reacting to what your grandson had done. So since you are not a witness to any of this, I'm going to have you change places with your grandson.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Tell me your name.
My name is James Abeda.
James.
Yes.
How old are you, James?
I'm 19 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a plumber.
Your first name.
Seth.
How old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a cook.
Where?
At a senior living in Oceanside.
Both working. Hallelujah moment. A 19 and a 22-year-old who were actually employed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you know him?
I didn't know him until this altercation happened, and I found out he was my neighbor.
Okay. This incident happened on...
I think it was September 15th.
So you live next door to each other?
I believe he lives in the apartment next to mine, yes.
How long have you lived in your apartment?
About 6 years, but I haven't always stayed with my grandmother, and that's where she stays, and I stay with her currently.
Could you speak a little slower and try to keep the hair out of your eyes when you're talking to me?
Yes.
Thank you. On September 15th, where were you living?
With my grandmother in Torrance.
And is that where you live as well?
Yes, it is.
Prior to September 15th, you didn't know each other?
I didn't.
Not at all.
Okay. So why don't you start out by telling me what happened on September 15th, starting out with the time?
My first time interacting with him, I was crossing the street to go to work with channel locks, boots, and other
With
things.
what?
With like channel locks, pliers for work. I had those in my hand along with boots and other things that I needed. And as I was almost gonna finish crossing the street, he started to honk, and I flipped him off because...
Okay, so he was driving.
Yes.
So you were crossing the street.
Yes.
He was driving. Were you walking slowly? Just a second, Seth. So he was walking slowly.
Very, very slowly.
How very, very
Like
slowly?
at
Just
the-
listen to me. Listen to me. What I want you to do is, who is this?
Oh, that's my girlfriend.
This is your girlfriend. I want you to stand between your girlfriend and the desk. Right here. Right there. Now I want you to walk in front of your bench and show me how fast he was walking.
Probably about this, like...
No, that's
Like a
not true.
snail's pace.
Yeah, that's not true. Now go back, and I want you to rethink this again, Seth. I want you to rethink it. Do you understand?
Yes.
You know how old I am? Nobody crosses the street like that, sir, unless they're looking to irritate you. And you hadn't even had any contact with him before that, so he wasn't walking backwards. Now show me how he was walking.
Probably about...
But that's okay. That's better. Now go back.
Okay.
Did he have the right of way? Is not an answer.
He did not.
All pedestrians have the right of way, sir.
It wasn't on a crossing guard.
So he was crossing in the middle of the street?
Yes, between the median.
Explain that to me.
There's a median between the street on Artesia, and it was like walking off of there. No like crosswalk or anything.
What time was this?
It was in the morning, I think about 10 a.m.
Okay, so you're crossing the street. Wasn't fast enough for him. He honked the horn at you. You flipped him off.
Yes.
Okay, let's go from there.
And then when I flipped him off, he got very mad, and he
Just tell me what he did. Don't tell me he got mad. That is his state of mind. Just
sorry.
tell me what he did. You
Okay.
flipped him off. Did
Yeah.
you say anything?
No, I didn't at that point. He was in his car with the windows up.
Okay, was he alone?
He was with his girlfriend at the time.
That would be you.
Yes.
Do me a favor, please. Kevin,
Yes.
take her outside.
This way.
Okay, so he's with his girlfriend. You flipped him off now.
So he parks his car in the middle of the street.
He stops in the middle of the street.
Yes, and he gets out, and he starts to get loud. He's like, you need to learn some respect, and
Is that what he said to you? You have to learn some respect?
yes, he said like something along the lines of, I'm gonna teach you some respect, or you need to learn some respect, because I had flipped him off, and
Just a minute. So far, Seth, listen to me. You're driving your car with your girlfriend. He's walking very slowly. You honk your horn at him. He turns around, he flips you off. You stop the car. Is that correct?
Yeah. But
Not yeah. Not yeah. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am is even better. Why don't you just keep going? What difference does it make to you? You don't pull over in your car because somebody calls you a name after you act like a jerk and honk your horn at them as they're crossing the street and get out of your car. Okay, so now you're an idiot. Now let's move forward.
Lucille Chacon claims her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, damaged her car during a fight with her grandson, James.
Okay, you stopped the car. Did you get out of the car?
Yes, because
Okay.
I was.
Just a second. You stopped the car. And when you stopped the car in the middle of the street.
I pulled off to the side.
Was it in a parking lane?
Yes.
Listen. Was it in a parking lane that you pulled over?
Yes.
Okay, so you pulled over into a parking lane and got out of your car.
Yes. And put on my emergency lights as well.
Well, what was the emergency? Think about that for a second. I want you to tell me what the emergency was. Is not an answer.
It's not an answer, you're right, ma'am. He was yelling obscenities at me, so I yelled some obscenities back.
No. He wasn't yelling obscenities to you, sir. He flipped you off.
He left out the part where he also yelled obscenities at me.
You mean after you honked the horn at him?
Yes.
What did he say?
Along the...
Not along the line. I want you to think about what he said. You know, I got a crystal ball here. I want you to think about what he said, and you can tell me. Nothing makes me blush.
He basically just said...
Not basic. Listen,
he said
basically is a filler word. What did he say?
Am I allowed to cuss, ma'am, here? Because it was curse words.
Are you allowed to say it? I said to you, I've heard everything.
Okay, he basically said I was a... Sorry,
Basically,
ma'am.
Not basically. What did he say?
He said I was a... He said I was a bitch. He said I was a lot of things.
Now, just a second. Now, he said all these things to you while he was crossing the street and flipping you off.
Yes.
No, I'm not sure I buy that. My friend Seth, I think they may have said those things to you after you stopped and you started to argue with him. But all that didn't happen. You're driving in a driving lane. You honk your horn because you're a little impatient, which is sort of stupid, but you're only 22. And he flips you off. You pull off to the side. This all happened very fast.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Common sense. That's what the world is all about. You pull off and then you get out, and then you start back and forth with him.
No, Judge. Because he actually did start yelling obscenities when I had my windows down. He mentioned the fact that my windows were up. They were not. They were down because it was a hot day. So I could hear him yelling the obscenities because it was when he started flipping me off. It was...
Yeah, so why don't you just keep going? What difference does it make to you? If he calls you a couple of names, you're in the car with your girlfriend, what difference does it make? You keep moving.
Ego, I guess, ma'am.
Well, you can call it ego, you can call it the stupid gene, you can call it whatever you want, but you don't pull over in your car because somebody calls you a name after you act like a jerk and honk your horn at them as they're crossing the street and get out of your car. Okay, so now you're an idiot. Now let's move forward. So now you're yelling at each other. Next.
After that, he said we could fight.
No, look here.
Sorry, he said we could fight, so...
He said to you could fight?
Yeah, we both...
No, not we both. I want to know what he said to you. He's crossing the street. He's got things in his hands. According to you, he says to you, do you want to fight?
Yes. Yes,
And?
And I agreed.
And you said, sure, I want to fight.
Yeah. It's mutual combat.
Dumb and dumber. Go ahead. So he said, do you want to fight? You said, sure. This is all because you honked your horn because somebody wasn't walking fast enough in front of your car. You know how stupid that sounds?
Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I'm aware it sounds stupid now coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. You know, what you got to say is, I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, keep going.
After he agreed to that...
He agreed to fight with you?
Yeah, he agreed. After that, when it was just me and him, my girlfriend was trying to tell me, like, just stop. We can both, like, just leave, which I should have listened to her. I understand that. Yes.
Was she still in the car?
No, she had come out with me to, like, try to dissolve the situation.
Okay, so, you know, she's out someplace now where she can't hear what's going on here, which is why I had her escorted from the courtroom. So she's going to tell me that when you pulled over, she said, do not get out of the car.
Yeah.
Don't get out of the car.
Yes.
That sounds like something I would say to my husband when somebody cuts him off and he pulls off and he goes running out of the car. I say, you're 90 years old. Who are you going to fight with? Go ahead. You know, but sometimes you don't get smarter. Sometimes the work in progress just gets stunted. Keep going.
After that, when we both agreed to
fight. And your girlfriend is telling you...
Trying to stop me from doing everything. That's when he pulled out about an 8-inch combat knife that was completely camouflaged. Wish I had a picture of it. But it was about that big enough to hurt me, basically. Like,
I don't care what size a knife is. A knife is a knife is a knife. It could be an inch long.
I agree.
A knife.
But yeah, it was a pretty big knife. And then after that, when we were just yelling at each other, I didn't leave after he pulled out the knife because I was kind of like, I can't believe you pulled out a knife on me. I was just shocked by it. A neighbor came over and started trying to break us up as well. And so did my father. My father came over because he just so happened to be outside and tried to stop us too. So that day it got dissolved, like the whole situation.
And?
The next day is when we really had an altercation.
Oh, so this is just an appetizer.
Yes.
Of what happened the next day, which
Yes.
was September 16th.
Yes.
So now your father is there, your girlfriend is there, you're separated.
Yes.
Then you saw each other again the next day.
Correct.
Take it from there. Now you saw each other the next day. What happened the next day? So far we don't have anything except, did you take out a knife on the 15th? That's an answer, yes or no?
No.
You did not?
No.
You did not have a knife with you?
Yes, I did.
You did. Where was it?
In my waistband.
So it was there?
Yes.
Okay, and visible?
Yes.
Okay, and what kind of a knife was it?
Camouflage knife with a...
How big?
About this big.
Okay, and who else was out there? He was there with his girlfriend, and his father came to sort of break things up, and it was broken up, and you got back into your car and drove off.
Yes.
So far, correct?
Yes.
Let's go to the next day.
So the next day, I was sitting in my car in front of the apartment that I live at.
You mean your grandmother's car?
Yes. And I noticed that he was like on the median that he was talking about on Artesia. He was already crossed on that side, and he was with his girlfriend. And he had noticed that I was sitting in my car, and he had already had his knife out, and he came up to me, and he tried stabbing me. He stuck his knife in the car, already yelling before I could even acknowledge his existence. He came up to me yelling, upset, and he.
What was he yelling?
He was like, "What's up?" He was like, "What's up? What happened yesterday? Like, what about yesterday? You called me. What about now?" Because he had a knife now, and I guess the day before he felt like he didn't. So he came up to me with a knife and immediately stuck it in the window, tried poking me, and as I tried to get out, he kicked the door about 5 times while I was trying to get out, crushing me and also shutting the door as I'm trying to get out. And by the time I got out...
What were you trying to get out for?
To not get stabbed, because I couldn't pull off because he was on the left side of my car, and that's the side I needed to go onto the road, so I couldn't drive off.
Unless you ran him over.
Yeah, and I didn't want to kill him.
He had a knife. He was stabbing you.
Yeah.
You could have killed him. Did you break a window?
I believe it was the back, not the window, but the little glass part over.
A little glass part. That's usually called a window.
Lucille Chacon and her grandson, James, are accusing their neighbor, Seth Kaufman, of damaging her car during a fight with James.
Okay, keep going.
So at that point, I got out and I followed him.
Okay, just a second. So then you were able to get out of your car because he walked away.
He didn't walk away.
Well, then, because you say you were following him, which means that you were behind him, which means he was walking away.
No, he was facing me and I was facing him, and I was kind of like walking him back around my car, because I was trying to go to my gate and get inside instead of driving off.
Well, why didn't you drive off? Now he's away from the car. Why didn't you just drive off?
I just didn't want to get stabbed. I wasn't sure what to do. It all happened very fast.
So you didn't want to get stabbed, so you got out of your car.
Yeah, and I was trying
Is
to go
that pretty
inside.
stupid, right?
Yeah, well, I was trying to avoid hitting him with the car.
Nah. Go.
He was parked in the fire lane, and there was no cars in front of him. He could have pulled off if he...
No, not coulda, woulda, shoulda. Just tell me what happened.
I was walking across the street. Me and my girlfriend were actually having a little bit of a spat.
My girlfriend and I.
Oh, my girlfriend and I, you're right. We're having a little bit of a spat. She was leaving. I was going across the street to go, like, talk to her, you know, like, settle things down.
So you were having a fight with your girlfriend?
Yeah, little verbal altercation.
What were you having a fight about?
I don't even remember. Something small and stupid, probably. And then while I was walking across the street, I heard James from his car, who put down his window, start yelling at me. Again, more obscenities. You're a bitch, you're this, you're that. So I thought he wanted to start stuff again, and it seemed like he did. So I walked up, I started talking to him, like, do you want to fight again? The exact same thing I said the day before, and the exact same thing happened. He pulled out a knife that he had in his waistband, and yeah, we just kept yelling at each other back and forth. My girlfriend, again, tried to get in between us and stop everything that was going on.
Okay, so what you're saying to me that he instigated what happened on the 16th of September by shouting at you when you were crossing the street to talk to your girlfriend.
Exactly.
And then you came back to the car to confront him as to why he's calling you names again.
Exactly.
And then from inside his car, he took out a knife?
The exact same knife, yes.
The exact same knife?
Yes.
And what did you have?
Nothing.
Now, you knew he had a knife from the day before.
Yes, I did.
So why would you go over to his car unless you yourself had some sort of something to protect yourself with?
I didn't really care about protecting myself. I was just more angry than anything. And that does sound stupid, but it's the truth. I was just really upset with the fact that we could have had mutual combat the day before, which we both are adults, we agreed to. Could have done that, but he wanted to pull out a weapon when there was...
This all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street.
Yes, this all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street, yes.
Mm-hmm. How did Mrs. Chacon's car get damaged?
When I was trying to defend myself from him, like I said, he had a pretty big knife. He says that he was following me.
No. I asked you a question. He did not damage his own car.
He did not.
You damaged his car. How did you damage his car, and with what? What?
I guess my body when I was trying to defend myself.
Well,
I didn't even realize it happened until it happened.
Yeah, but I'm going to see pictures of it, I assume. Do you have photographs? I assume I'm going to see pictures of the damage to the car.
I do not have photos of the car.
No, they do.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as you're concerned, you don't know exactly how their car got damaged?
No, not exactly.
Did you break a window?
That's what they told me I did.
No. You were there.
I was there. I don't remember doing that, though. I don't.
Did you break a windshield?
I believe it was the back, not window, but the little tiny part that's connected to your back window in the back of your car? One of those tiny ones. Not the window, but the little glass part over.
A little glass part. That's usually called a window.
Yeah.
What about holes in the car?
Holes?
Holes. Would there be any pictures of holes in the car?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. And would there be any marks where there was any kicking to the car?
There shouldn't have been. No, ma'am.
You don't remember kicking the car?
No, I don't.
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
BMW.
Okay. Now, let's go back. Now he's with the girlfriend. Pick it up.
So he's...
September 16th. You're in your car, sitting in the fire lane. Did you hear what he just told me?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
No, it's not. He damaged my car when I had gotten out of it. We went to the back, and that's where I had to go to my gate and
Go to your what?
To my gate inside of my apartment. And his girlfriend was screaming to just stop everything because the day before it was something traumatic, I'm sure, for her as well already. And it was the same, like calling each other that, and so we were just standing there across from each other on the sidewalk, and then he backed, because he's close to my car, so he kind of backhands it, and he does that to the trunk, and his hand goes through the glass, so it cuts him, and the back of the car has a hole in it.
Can I see the photographs of the damage? Oh, well, that would be what we call like a 2-year-old. That would be called a window. What I want you to do is, I see the broken window. What I want you to do, James, is Kevin is going to give you a pen, something that will show up on this, and I want you to make a circle as to where you allege there's damage to your car, your grandmother's car, other than the window.
I believe there was one more picture in the stack that showed the door that he kicked.
Well, I'd like to see it. Okay. What's the damage here?
Like a scratch, like a line across.
And what was that made with?
I think with a knife.
Okay, good. Now, Kevin, would you go and bring in Mr. Kaufman's girlfriend? What is her name?
Kyla.
Donald Sullivan is suing his tenants, William Callahan and Aaron Crowcroft, for loss of income, a false restraining order, and filing of false police reports.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3109, Sullivan versus Callahan, Korkoff.
Mr. Callahan, how long have you been a tenant of the plaintiffs?
I've personally been a tenant for 3 years. Aaron here has been a tenant for 11.
And you live together?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else live in the house?
My partner.
Okay. And how long has your partner been in the house?
Me and him have been in the house 12 years. We're the original tenants.
And are you a tenant of his?
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you pay in rent?
We pay $1,000 a month in rent.
You pay to Mr. Crowcroft.
No, I'm paying for the entirety of the rent myself
Why is that?
because he's
I'm
mentally
disabled.
and doesn't have a source of income right now, so I am his caretaker primarily.
Okay, let's start again. You've been living in the house for 11 years.
11 or 12, yeah. We moved in January 1st, 2012. That's our official move-in date.
And you have a partner,
Yes, I do.
male or female?
Male.
Does that partner work?
Yes, he does.
What kind of work?
Retail.
Sales?
Yes, retail sales like Walmart.
And what is the nature of your disability?
I'm severely bipolar with Asperger's syndrome and ADHD.
Did you ever work?
I've worked on and off, but I've never been able to maintain work. I've tried. I've never been able to.
Get Social Security?
Not yet, but I'm applying for it as we speak.
How old are you?
I'm 38.
How have you been supporting yourself?
My parents, and then he came into my life.
How did he come into your life?
We've known each other online for a very long time.
Does he get along with your partner?
Yes, very, very much so.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a truck driver.
You work for a company?
Yes, I work for a company.
Long haul?
I do a lot of the local, regional stuff, so all within the state of Wisconsin.
Okay. You don't go on trips longer than a day or two?
No, I'm usually home every night.
And how much do you earn at that job?
About $2,200 a week.
And what do you get paid for, and by whom, as a caretaker?
I don't get paid by anyone. I'm just helping him out, so I'm not officially his caretaker or anything, but as a friend, I'm just helping take care of him.
I got it. So you're not a caretaker of his. I misunderstood. Did you apply to be a caretaker?
No, ma'am.
No, because you're gone all day.
Yes, sir.
So Mr. Crowcroft is alone all day,
Yes, sir.
and his partner is in sales, so he's not there during the day.
Yes, sir.
And you pay the entire rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Sullivan, this is your claim. Your claim is that an incident occurred and the defendants alleged to the police that you had a gun and you were at home at the time. Police came to the house. There was a scene. They advised you probably by bullhorn to come out of the house with your hands up. Is that right?
Correct.
You did. You had no gun, but you were in fact taken into custody for that brief period of time. You allege falsely based on a false complaint of theirs to the police. The defendants acknowledge that they made a complaint to the police, but say that the police misunderstood them, that you had threatened them with a gun. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
When did this incident occur?
It was November 6th after midnight, so November 7th until about 3 a.m.
What year?
of
23.
2023.
Okay. Tell me first, who called the police?
I was the one who called the police that night.
All right, Mr. Callahan. Tell me what happened that night that caused you to call the police.
Originally, I had went to talk with his son because I had received a call from anonymous number.
From Mr. Sullivan's son?
No, not from Mr. Sullivan's son, but...
No, you went to talk to Mr. Sullivan's son.
Correct.
Is that his son?
No, we're talking about Donald John Sullivan.
Okay, so he's not here.
No, no.
So you went to talk to his son, and where does his son live?
So according to the map there, our defendant's house, our house there.
Got it. So you left your house at what time?
I want to say it was about 11:45 p.m. on the 6th of, that was November.
Okay, so that was on the 6th of November. And what caused you to leave your house at 11:45?
I had, like I said, I had received an anonymous call that someone was investigating his son for the sale and possession of marijuana.
Okay, so you received a call.
Yes, Your Honor.
From someone you don't know. Did they leave a message, or was it a actual call that you picked up?
No, completely unavailable number.
Okay, and that the plaintiff's son, who lives in the middle of where you live and the plaintiff lives.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you must be friendly with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, we are. We're on good terms.
Must be if you went there and got this information. How come you didn't call him?
I have text messages to him, but unfortunately that phone was lost and destroyed, so I haven't been able to recover those yet, and I'm trying to. We're also trying to get his original police report about an assault that occurred.
Why is it that these lost phones always happen within weeks of a lawsuit? That is interesting to me.
Well, that one was actually replaced in December.
I don't care if it was replaced in December. It's just unfortunate for your proof. When you came to get the cigarette, the plaintiff was there already?
Yes.
Okay, so you called and you said you're coming for a cigarette.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm beginning to think that somebody is peeing on my leg.
Donald Sullivan claims his tenants, William Callahan and Aaron Crowcroft, filed a false police report and a false restraining order against him.
Okay, so you walked over to the plaintiff's son's house and told him you had received an anonymous call that somebody was selling marijuana out of his house.
No, that someone was purporting that he was selling marijuana out of his
Who was selling?
Donald John Sullivan.
I understand that marijuana was being sold out of his son's house.
Yes.
Okay, and then what happened?
We talked it over. After we talked it over, I returned back home. There was no issue at that point.
You didn't go over there because there was an issue. I gather you went over there because you were his friend and you wanted to alert him.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you went home. Come on, let me hear.
And then from there, I had gone back inside and leashed up my dog and then noticed I was out of cigarettes. So I had called him and was like, hey, do you have any cigarettes?
What do you mean you called whom?
Donald John Sullivan, the
So now you telephoned him?
Yes.
After having gone over there to have a discussion about the call?
Yes.
You telephoned him, you said, I'm out of cigarettes. So now this is 12 o'clock.
Correct, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
From there, I went back over to retrieve a cigarette for myself, and this is where the incident occurred. There was
Well, tell me what happened.
After he had given me a cigarette, I went to return. Mr. Sullivan was at the corner of the house.
Show me where.
So at the corner of the house here is where Mr. Sullivan was postponed because I feel he knew the position.
No, don't tell me what you feel. I don't care what you feel. You were between your house, right at the edge of where the plaintiff's son lives, and your house. So you went there to get a regular cigarette.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. And is marijuana legal in your state, by the way?
No.
No. You went there to get a cigarette at midnight, and you claim that the plaintiff came out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of his house, and what happened?
I think you might have messed up the timeline there. The plaintiff didn't come out of his house. The plaintiff was already over here.
When you came to get the cigarette, the plaintiff was there already?
Yes.
Okay, so you called, and the plaintiff was already there. You said you're coming for a cigarette.
Yes, Your Honor.
Beginning to think that somebody is peeing on my leg. Go ahead.
And then...
And this is at midnight?
Yes, Your Honor.
Keep going.
Then from there, whenever I saw him, he immediately saw me, started screaming accusations.
Just a second. come and step back here now for a moment. I want you to tell me what Mr. Sullivan said to you.
He was telling me to get off of his property and get out of his house.
Okay. And what did you say to him?
I did not say anything back. I turned and ran.
Okay. And?
From there, I ran through our houses to the road there.
Now you can go back.
So I ran from here.
Yes.
Up through the middle of our house and our garage here, down the neighbor's driveway.
Why'd you just go home?
I didn't feel like I would be safe at home.
Why?
I don't own any firearms or anything to protect
He didn't
me.
have a firearm.
I know, that's where the police messed up with
Just a second. Police didn't mess up. I want to know, you're running, but you ran past your house because you said you didn't have any firearms in your house. He didn't have a firearm, and you didn't see a firearm.
No, Your Honor.
So why would you worry about having a firearm in your house? How old are you?
32.
How old is he?
74.
Yeah. You understand I'm not buying your story.
Okay.
You do understand that I'm not buying your story. Back. Do you have a copy of the police report?
Yes,
Police
I do.
were called. The defendant, Mr. Callahan, acknowledges that he called the police. Mr. Crowcroft, you did not call the police.
No, I wasn't awake. I wasn't awake.
You did not call the police. Well, that's what this case is all about. Did you speak to the police? No. Well, Mr. Callahan, this is very clear in this police report. Actually, couldn't be clearer. The police were dispatched. It was not a mistake, as you allege, that the police didn't mistake anything. They were dispatched over a call that said that Mr. Sullivan pointed an AR-15 type rifle at him while speaking to the plaintiff's son. That's what it said in the police report. Now, I've read your answer to this, sir, and your answer suggests that the police got it wrong.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what the answer says. However, the police did an investigation, and I'm going to read to you what they say, sum and substance. Callahan, that would be you, admitted that he made up the incident because he feared for his roommate. I told Callahan that he was pathetic. Callahan stated he might as well blow his brains out and stated that it would do me a favor. Callahan was arrested, that would be you, for obstruction. The officers had conducted a follow-up because they were shown film footage, which evidently was from a Ring camera that the plaintiff's son has, showing the entire incident, which clearly suggested that there was no AR-15, there was no gun pointed at all. And when you were confronted with that footage, you said, all right, I made up the incident. That's what you said. This wasn't a question of the police getting the report wrong. You acknowledge you made up the incident. Okay. Mr. Sullivan, why are you suing Mr. Crowcroft?
For several things. For one, he cost me loss of income because I had a young lady that was going to rent my house for 15
Where
months.
is she?
She couldn't get off work.
Not interested in it.
I do have a certified statement.
I don't read certified statements,
Okay.
sir. Why are you suing him? We have the guy who made the false police report. He acknowledged it to the police that he made a false report. Why Mr. Crowcroft?
Well, because he was in on it. I mean, so far, everything they've said is lies. As far as the people that lived there, there's 4 people that were living there.
Okay, right now, all I have here is what you allege is a false arrest.
False arrest.
Your humiliation about that, and you are absolutely right, and you are entitled to be compensated for that.
And if you look on that police report, it was 7 days later that I found out. Other than that, I had to live with the fear that I was going to be arrested. I was ordered out of my house.
Just a second, I get it all, and I think that that's horrible, and he's going to pay for that. I'm trying to get to Mr. Crowcroft, why he's a defendant.
They also filed a false restraining order.
Who did?
Mr. Crowcroft and William, both.
Just a second. Forget about Callahan. He's already guilty.
Donald Sullivan has accused his tenants, William Callahan and Aaron Crowcroft, of lying to the police by claiming Donald was armed with an assault rifle.
He lied to the police. He lied to the police about a very serious situation because if things had been different, it's in the middle of the night. If you had some police officer who was nervous and you came out of the house, it could have been tragic. reporting that you had a serious weapon in the house in the middle of the night. He's already guilty. Crowcroft, did you file for a protective order?
He did for me, yes. He had my permission to do so, for a restraining order to keep him away from me.
Well, just a second. If you filed for a restraining order, on what date did you file for a restraining order?
William?
That was the 5th.
November 5th, 2023.
The day before this incident?
The day before the incident?
Just a second. The day before the incident. And on what basis did you file a restraining order against him?
William, what was the restraining order?
What was the basis? I'm asking you.
I don't know the details. He's the one who took care of the paperwork for me because I didn't understand it.
Who signed it? You?
Yeah, I did sign it.
Just a second. I'd like to see it.
I have it here, Your Honor.
By the way, when I'm looking at this, Mr. Sullivan, you both still living in the house, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a lease now, or is
There hasn't been a lease in 11 years. We only had one for the first year.
I got it. Okay. So you're a month-to-month tenant?
Yes.
When was the last time that rent was paid?
William?
That would be, oh geez, what are we in?
We're in January.
That was January 1st, 2024.
Of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
So they're up to date in their rent?
Yes.
Now, I don't see what the basis was for your protective order.
For the protective order, we ordered it because in the previous year...
No. I want to know him, not you. Him.
Why was it filed? Is that what you're asking?
You need facts for a protective order.
Because Donald followed me around. He was harassing me. He would not leave me alone. He kept coming over, asking questions, and just being rude. I would be sitting in the garage. He'd come walking up, and he'd be demanding things out of me, and just... He knows I'm bipolar, and he knows that kind of interaction is very hard for me.
I think you should move, actually. I actually think that you should move.
I'd love to.
Well, you should. You're not paying any rent. You might as well not pay rent someplace else. Take them with you. If you have issues and they're exacerbated by the plaintiff, move. You've been there 12 years. You got somebody else to pay the rent. Move. Okay. Anyway, the maximum jurisdiction for this court. And I'm dismissing your case against Mr. Crowcroft. Do you understand?
Okay.
Nothing happened was a result of this protective order. What happened to you was a result of Mr. Callahan's false reporting to the police that you had a weapon, which could have resulted in a tragedy which caused you to be removed from your home, as per directed by the police. You say that neighbors came out. I'm sure when the police arrived, there was more than one police car or just one?
5.
5 police cars. At what time in the night?
12:30.
In the morning?
Yes.
Yeah. Frightening. Frightening for anybody. More frightening for somebody in their 70s, and absolutely outrageous because you consciously lied to the police. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I'm not truly in agreement with them because the police did try to bring up charges against me, but they dropped those because they found the video was edited.
I was very happy with it.
There's a lot of information that was missed out on.
I hope it sets an example for people that make false police reports.
Mr. Sullivan's always been a very hostile person, and this is just a continuation of that.
The incident happened the day after they were served their eviction by the sheriff's department.
No, the eviction was thrown away, and his son actually took over the property and has begun remaking the repairs because his eviction was retaliatory against us for calling code enforcement because the house is just withering away, and he just sits there with his hands folded and does nothing.
Well, I was ordered to come out of the house with my hands above my head.
At that time, I didn't see a firearm in his hand. What I had reported to the police was I was approached aggressively by Mr. Sullivan.
And I said it's a very serious matter. When I come out of the house, they ordered me to lift up my shirt and turn around and told me that they'd probably be coming back to arrest me.
I told them to be wary. He does own firearms, and they took that as me saying he had a firearm that night.
I was accused of pointing an AR-15 at a tenant that I'm trying to evict.
I never claimed anything about an AR-15 with the report. I just stated to the police on the phone that he had weapons.
My little sister was crying in the house because she thought my dad was going to jail. I was calling up my family, telling them that we might need to go somewhere because I thought my dad was going to jail.
Don't lie to the police, and definitely do something about your roommates being assaulted before it's too late.
I'm just happy to be alive, and I'm happy to have it over with.
Very surprising to me that after doing this investigation, which was clear from the police report that I read, and he confessed to lying to the police to get the police to the house, lying about somebody having an automatic weapon, that they didn't arrest him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might have said they did arrest him, but then they didn't end up charging him.
Right.
But I'm surprised that they didn't follow through on charges. I mean, he's just lucky that on the way to the home, 5 police cars speeding, didn't hit anybody, hit another vehicle, get in an accident. Lucky nothing more serious happened to the plaintiff either as a result of the false reporting, because then it's not just an oopsie. Then you have a big problem on your hands because of a lie that you told police knowingly.
Yeah.
So
it is surprising to me that they didn't follow through.
Yeah, I thought
they dispatched 5 police cars. That alone should have made the police annoyed enough to at least follow through.
Exactly. I thought that was a more serious crime, reporting falsely to the police, than they seem to have treated it as.
Yeah.
Navas Sr. is suing his son, Marvin Navas Jr., for bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3087, Navas versus Navas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How old are you, Mr. Navas?
25.
How long have you been living at home with your mother and father?
All my life.
Are you still living there?
Not right now at the moment, no.
Where are you living?
With my grandma in Van Nuys.
And you left because you had a disagreement with your father.
A huge argument, yes, ma'am.
Some time ago, you're going to tell me the date, police stopped you in your car, correct?
Correct.
On what date was that?
About 2 years ago, Super Bowl Sunday, on February 14th.
On Valentine's Day?
I believe so, ma'am.
2022?
2022, yes.
And you were stopped because, according to what I read, you were smoking, but you must have been smoking something other than cigarettes.
Marijuana, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. In what state do you live?
California.
Was smoking marijuana in a car? You were the driver of the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Is that illegal in the state of California?
I believe so.
I would say so, just like you can't have a bottle of vodka and drinking it while you're driving. And when the police stopped you for committing a crime, which endangered a lot of people because, you know, when you're not totally together, you're not supposed to be driving a car, they found 2 handguns.
Correct.
Who else was in the car? It's not funny. I happen to not think it's funny. I know that you think it's funny, but it's not funny.
I mean, I got off scot-free, so I'm not facing 10 years.
How many other people were in the car?
I believe 4 other people had a full car.
You know how many other people were in the car. You were driving.
I just said 4, ma'am.
4 others.
Yeah, full car.
And where were the guns found, sir?
I don't know. I was not the police, so.
No, but you were in the car. Don't be a wise guy with me, because I eat people like you for breakfast. I don't think you're either cute or accomplished. You're neither cute or accomplished.
I know I'm
At
cute.
age 25, you don't live on your own. You either live with your mother or your father. Then when they throw you out, you go and live with your grandmother. I neither think that you're cute or accomplished. Maybe young girls do. I'm an old lady. I fail to see your attractiveness, and I fail to see how any of this is funny.
You ever see my smile, man? That's pretty attractive.
It depends. Let me ask around. You find that attractive? No. Whitney, you're younger than I am, a little bit older than Sarah. You find that attractive?
They want to keep their job.
It's not only not attractive, but when your grandmother watches that, she's going to think you're a fool, along with a lot of other people. And it's going to be my joy, my absolute joy, to fill in the blanks. So you don't know where the 2 other guns were found, and everything got thrown out. So now you have no adult criminal record.
Correct.
Did you have a juvenile criminal record? Answer the question. Did you have a juvie record? Of course you did. You know everything. Wise guys like you always have a juvie record. So when they booked you, they put you in jail. Now, as a juvie, you had been taken into custody before, but I don't think that you had been put in an adult kind of situation, in an adult facility. So let me ask you a question. Did you call your girlfriend?
Nope.
Did you call your priest?
Nope.
Did you call your family physician?
Nope.
Yeah, I'll assume, for the record, Whitney, I'm going to assume that this accomplished 25-year-old who lives under the auspices of his parents or his grandma doesn't know how to say no, or no, ma'am, or no, Your Honor. He says no. I assume, sir, that you are not a graduate of any university.
Nope.
No. See. So you didn't call any of those people. Who? They gave you a phone call. Who did you call?
I called my dad, tell him to get me out.
Just a second. You called your dad. I'm 24 years old, and I live with you. I was smoking in the car, and they called me over, and they had 2 guns, and I'm in jail now. Yeah. What did you call your father for?
To get me out.
Why?
It's his job to protect me, right? You have kids, ma'am?
What?
You have kids, ma'am?
5 and 13 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild. And I want to tell you something. This is one of them. And the last person they would call, any of them, if they got pulled over smoking a joint and there were guns found, the very last person that they would call is me. That's the very last person they would call. And they actually consider me a pretty good mother and grandmother. But they know you're going to act like a fool, call somebody else. So you called your daddy. You called your daddy. No, you called your daddy.
My father.
You called your daddy and you said, come and get me out. And he did. And he got you out. He paid a bail bondsman, which is what this case is about. You think this was going to be easy? Not easy. You don't mind my doing that to him, do you?
No, ma'am.
Great. Are you his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he your only son?
He's my only son.
He's your only son. I could tell. I could tell. It's nothing against you, but you can always tell when a little boy has been pampered by his mother and thinks that he's the cat's meow, even though he's unaccomplished. And he got you out, and he got you a lawyer. And that's what this case is about, Mr. Navas.
Yes, ma'am.
This is about the bail and the money that you spent on a lawyer.
That he spent.
Don't speak.
That he spent.
If you speak, unless I speak to you, sir, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
Sorry,
or I'm going to tell Kevin to put you in your seat.
Sorry, ma'am.
Very good. So when I speak to you, like I did before, you can answer me. Now I'm speaking to your daddy. You got a tax return.
Navas Sr. claims his son, Marvin Navas Jr., owes for the cost of bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested for illegal firearms.
Okay, so you are suing him for the $2,800 or whatever it was for the bail bondsman, and you also paid an attorney $14,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you paid this money to the lawyer and to the bail bondsman, what kind of work was your son doing?
Before that, he was working for a security company.
Okay. As a what?
In the warehouse.
So he was working at a minimum wage kind of job.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you knew that he didn't have $14,000 or $16,000. You knew that he didn't have that. And he's living with you instead of living on his own because he's not even earning enough money to have his own apartment. Correct. Or to pay for his own gas, electric, utilities, water, heat, air conditioning. So he's living in his room, in his old room.
Yes, ma'am.
Ultimately, the case was dismissed.
It's not completely dismissed, ma'am. The statute of limitation hasn't expired.
So is the case still pending?
Yes, because I have this email that...
Can I see what he's got?
Yes, ma'am.
So the case has not been dismissed?
No, ma'am.
The DA just hasn't filed on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, got it now. Okay, so I can't ask him anything else about these pending charges because right now his attorney's not here, and his attorney would not like for me to do that. Now, was your son still working in the warehouse when you had this incident with him that caused him to move out?
No, not when he moved out, ma'am. No.
Where was he working?
He wasn't. He got laid off.
When did he get laid off?
I gotta say, probably like August.
August of 2023?
2022.
22? Oh.
That's 23, actually. 23, actually.
Well, but this is interesting, sir.
That's right.
Because you say in your complaint that the charges were fully dropped against him in March of 2023, but that's not so.
That's what I assume, ma'am.
Well, no, but there wasn't, not according to this letter.
No, and the reason I got that email from the lawyer, ma'am, is because I reached out to her to ask her about the bail bond exoneration letter, because my name was on the bail bond, and then that's when she sent that email stating that.
Okay, so now I want you to tell me, sir, you see, the boy, the boy says that he never had an agreement with you.
Never did.
To pay. He never had an agreement with you to pay you back, and that what you did because he's your son and you're his father. And the reason that you threw him out of the house was that you came home from work one day. What kind of work do you do?
I'm in sales, ma'am.
That you came home from work one day, he was not working, and he was, according to you, according to your papers, he was lying on the couch and smoking marijuana.
Well,
that's what you say here.
Yeah, what happened, ma'am, is it was on a weekend. I was drinking a beer, and he went out. He left and came back, and he smelled like marijuana in front of me. And I said, then that's when I asked him. I go, if you got money to buy marijuana, how come you're not making me whole on this? You made some payments on this, because when he filed his income taxes on the years before, we will keep his returns to put towards what he owned.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that you had an agreement with him for when he got a refund on his taxes that he would give you that money?
He was making payments before.
He was making payments?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did he make in payments?
He made a total of about $2,500.
Can I see the document that you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay. This says that you did, in fact, make some payments to your father. Income tax return, and that was in April of 2023 that you did, in fact, make a payment to him of $1,222. Is that correct?
I believe so. If it says
Just
right
a second. I'm asking you a question, boy.
If it says right there, I don't recall that, so.
Okay. Do you recall that you got a refund on your taxes?
Maybe. It could have been a stimulus check. I don't know.
All right. Well, I can see I'm not getting anywhere with you because you're a moron. And what you really don't know, sir, is how to read the room. And, you know, sometimes people learn that when they're very young. Sarah learned how to read the room when she was 3. Doesn't require an education. It requires listening to what's going on around you. So if you listen to what I was asking you before, it's perfectly logical that your father might think that because you had money to go out and buy weed, you should be paying him. But in reality, he had no expectation of being repaid because he had either no job or a low-paying job. That's a perfectly reasonable thing for me to think as a parent. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But when I ask you, and I'm sure that you remember because we're not talking about something that happened 10 years ago, but a few months ago, you got a tax return, $1,200, and you gave it to your father. That's either a yes or a no. That's not I don't remember. I don't remember means that you're dull-witted. Are you dull-witted?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You're not dull-witted. You're a wise ass, but you're not dull-witted. Then you made several other payments. In April of 2022, you again gave your father $1,123. Does that sound familiar?
Nope.
No.
He could have typed that up yesterday.
He could have. Just a second. He could have. So what you're telling me is that you never made any payments to your father.
Not that I recall, ma'am.
No, that's not an I don't recall. That means
he's accusing his son, Marvin Novis Jr., for refusing to pay back bail money and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Now, if you in fact made payments to him, you would know. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I did pay him some money when I could, when I was working, or when I got my tax return. You're a wise guy, but you're not dull-witted. So I want you to think hard. Don't give me I don't remember. Did you or did you not give your father your income tax refund in 2022 and 2023.
Yes.
Perfect. That's all we need to know. Now I know that you're just a wise guy, but you're not dull with it. Okay. So actually, the junior.
Not a junior.
You are his junior. Your last name is Navas?
Navas.
Navas. Well, he's the senior here today. You're the junior.
If you say so, ma'am.
Yes, I do say so. And I have to tell you, sir, that but for the fact that your son has acknowledged that he turned over to you his income tax returns as partial payment for this lawyer, I would actually dismiss your case. I'm telling you, I would dismiss your case. Because you actually did what a parent is supposed to do when their ne'er-do-well kid acts like a moron, smokes dope in a car with 4 other morons, 2 of whom have guns, you know. But you don't want him to go to prison, and you've probably gone to pick him up at police stations before.
Yes, ma'am.
When he was young. Now he's getting older. The only thing that I can suggest to you is, despite the fact that your wife adores him, you know, he's her baby, you have to let him stand on his own because he's a wise guy. And somebody's going to hurt him one day.
And that's
somebody's going to hurt him one day.
Ooh. That's
yeah.
That's
that kind of
fear.
wise guy always gets himself into trouble. Always. But for these 2 payments, I would have dismissed your case. However, he did make 2 payments, which he acknowledges, so the debt is real. He acknowledges that it was a debt by making 2 payments. Do you have the bill from the lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Here's the bill. Here's the receipt. And this is what we paid.
May I see the bill for the bail bondsman?
Yes, ma'am. Here's the bill, and then this is the email that will correspond with the stuff for the lawyer. I got you an email that.
Okay. Is he living with your mother or your wife's mother?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
How does she feel about that?
She loves me.
Shh. I didn't ask you anything.
You know, she loves him. She's torn up.
Does she have anybody else living with her?
My brother.
Mm-hmm. And to the best of your knowledge, is your son working now?
No, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since May. This is the first time I've seen him.
Are you currently employed?
I'm looking for work. No, I'm not employed right now. I'm looking for work.
Okay. Well, in case you find work, I'm entering a judgment on behalf of your father for $10,000, which is the court's legal limit. He paid the lawyer a minimum of $10,000, and he paid the bail bondsman. I would hope that your legal case ends well for you, sir.
Appreciate it, ma'am.
I do hope it ends well. And it seems to me that you have certain innate intelligence. If you waste it, it's your life that you're wasting, nobody else's. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't think it was fair. You know, my dad spent his own money. He paid the lawyer himself. He got the bail bonds himself. I just made 1 call when I was in jail.
I was very happy with it. I needed to have this foreclosure.
I believe he was my dad. It was obligations to, you know, for his son to just get me out. I don't think I owe him a dime.
Well, you know, if that's what he thinks. What can I do? All you can do is be a father.
He's not really a crier like that. So for him just to fake cry in front of the judge, I think it's ridiculous.
I just didn't want him to go and be in a situation that it'll be worse for him.
To be honest, I won't speak to him for a very long time. If we reconcile, we reconcile, but my focus is just my 3 girls, my mom, my 2 little sisters.
And hopefully our relationship can move on and get better.
I'm cute, but not going to jail, man.
It's just tough love, and I just got to learn that, you know, deal with it as they come and be prepared.
You know, sometimes I take for granted the legalese and the elements that are in the background of my mind when we listen to litigants out here. Because I know for you and for me, as soon as we heard that he made just 1 payment, that's acknowledgement of the debt. And therefore, he knew it wasn't just his dad being the best dad in the world, getting him out of jail, but a loan and an acknowledgement of a debt if he paid one payment. He didn't know that. He thought that it was going to be great for him that he paid. I paid him. I gave him the money. The rest of it was just him being a good dad. So he didn't know which way to go. He didn't know which way was up or down. He didn't know what was good for him, bad for him. But
what I found interesting about that young man is he clearly intelligent.
Sure.
And he spoke too much out of turn, but he was clearly articulate. Life is a journey. It has a beginning, a middle, and unfortunately for everybody, it has an end. In between is your journey. Mm-hmm. And that is a wasted journey because he's just a wise guy. Yeah. And he's not taking advantage of these wonderful innate gifts that he has of being able to communicate and being nice looking and looking healthy. Just a waste. Yeah. And it's really too bad because the journey is finite. What you do with it is yours.
Case 2097, Duran versus Shaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duran, the defendant is the property manager at a place where you used to live.
Yes.
And you are suing her for evicting you from that place. You want a whole bunch of money. You're suing her for $10,000 for your moving expenses, for assault, for emotional distress because you had to move. Ms. Shaw says that your behavior caused you to be evicted. You violated the rules, and that's why you were served notice of eviction. So first, let me know when you started living at the property that is managed by the defendant.
In 2018.
Did you have a lease?
Yes, I did.
Do you have a copy of that lease with you?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, so this initial lease was August of 2019, and it terminated on July 31st, 2020. It provided for 3 people to live in the apartment. Okay, and was the lease renewed?
Nope.
Okay, and so then you became a month-to-month tenant?
Yes.
And that was in February of 2020?
They also increased the rent.
That's okay, they're allowed to do that. That's a business.
No, I know.
They're allowed to do that. When your lease was extended on a month-to-month basis after February of 2020, would you tell me if the same people lived in the apartment as were on the original lease?
No.
So more people moved in?
Yes.
Who?
That would be my sisters and my mother.
Sisters?
Yes.
2 sisters?
Yes.
And when did they move in?
Maybe about, maybe 2020, maybe? Couldn't really be positive.
So that would have been in violation of your original lease?
Yes.
And it was an apartment that you were renting? And the apartment complex has a pool?
Yes, it does.
And the incident around, circumstances surrounding this eviction that was served on you, that happened in what month and year?
It was in June.
November of 2021?
Yes.
And in November of 2021, did you know that there were additional people living in the house?
Yes.
And didn't tell her that they had to vacate, that it was in violation of the terms of her underlying lease?
I had that morning, actually, when the confrontation happened.
No, I'm talking about, pay attention. My question was, did you register any complaint with the plaintiff about the additional people living there? Be very careful that you tell me the truth, because I know that you think you may know where I'm going, but you don't. Did you make any complaint to her November, December, January, February, March, April, or May? The answer is either yes or no about the other people living in the house.
No.
So I guess I'm going to start with you, because an incident occurred that resulted in her being evicted, that you're serving her with a notice of eviction.
Right.
Tell me when that took place, because I have to know what your reason was. That's a fair statement.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So in June 22, like I said, that morning I had served them.
What morning?
June 21st or something, I believe.
What kind of letter were you serving on her?
I just gave them, mine is, it's just a complaint notice, saying that.
Do you have a copy of that? Do you know what she's talking about?
Yes, I have a copy.
I'd like to see it.
There you go.
Okay, well, this is a letter that says you and your company were eating and drinking in the pool area, even after I told them to stop, that it wasn't allowed, they did not stop. And there is absolutely no eating or drinking in the pool area. Okay, so that's the letter she served to you. And that was on just your sister.
No, it was her and her friend.
No, just a second. Let's get it together. So your sister, who wasn't supposed to be there, but they sort of let that skate.
Oh.
Who wasn't supposed to be there.
Okay.
Okay, so your sister and who else?
That would be my sister, her boyfriend, and 2 of her friends, or 3 of her friends, I think.
Had they ever been to the pool before?
My sister has, but not her friends.
So the person who wasn't supposed to be living with you, that's your sister,
yes,
invited her boyfriend and 3 other friends to the pool.
She called and asked if it was okay first.
She asked you?
Yes.
And you said fine?
Yes.
You didn't call the manager?
No.
Okay. And you are aware that there's no eating and drinking in the pool?
That's not what it says on my lease.
Is that what it says at the pool?
Nope.
Does it say anywhere in the house rules?
Nope.
Nope, it's not an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The answer is no.
No, ma'am, it is not.
No. Now, when you've been living there for a long time, do you use the pool?
Yes, I do.
Ever had any trouble in the time from November of last year? Ever had any complaint?
Nope.
Nope
No,
is not an
sorry,
answer.
sorry,
No
I'm
is
sorry.
the answer. No,
Yeah,
no
okay,
complaint.
no, sorry.
Okay. And did you discuss with your sister and her friends that there were any rules that she had to abide by?
No, I did not, because I was not home yet.
Stand up. First name is?
Aaliyah.
You were their boyfriend and 3 girlfriends. Any children?
No.
You know this lady?
Yes.
What happened when she came to tell you that there was no eating or drinking at the pool?
So we were standing.
Just what happened when she told you?
She came screaming at us, telling us that we needed to get the food out and that we needed to go.
Get the food out. What kind of food had you
It was
brought
just
in?
pizza and like a soda and water.
So it wasn't a piece of fruit. You were having a meal there, pizza and food. Had you ever seen your sister bring food into the pool area?
Snacks, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about snacks. Did she ever bring food into the pool area?
No.
What prompted you to order food into the pool area?
It was a hot day and we were hungry and
because usually there are signs posted around a pool. I've lived in enough places to know, and the pool signs usually say no jumping in the pool, no food or drink around the pool, right?
Yes.
Most pools say that.
Yes.
Did this pool say that?
It just said, like you said, no jumping in the pool, no diving, to come into the pool, but it never said nothing about food, drinks, nothing like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So now you please establish to me, Miss Shaw, that there was notice that there was no food and drink at the pool.
Their pool addendum.
May I see?
And then also no guest addendum.
Just a second.
It's all part of their...
Hold on. You're Melissa Duran.
Yes, I am.
And that's your signature?
Yes.
Yes. The pool is reserved exclusively for the use of residents of the building. That's what it says.
Okay.
That's what you signed. No diving in the pool area, no intoxicated persons. Okay. I just want you to show me here, first of all, the only thing that they are violating is that pool is reserved exclusively for the residents of the building. That's in here, but I don't see anything about food.
The new pool addendum wasn't part of their contract. So when we put out the new one, it was for more updated tenants, but we didn't serve them on the food, we served them on the guests.
Is what you're saying to me. The only thing that she signed is this, and there is no sign around the pool that says no eating or drinking.
There is a sign by the pool.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't have a copy of that.
Why not?
I texted her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that.
So that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool?
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it. The thing.
Just a second.
Melissa Duran claims her former property manager, Tracy Shaw.
Them changing the pool addendum, I posted the new pool addendum on all of the doors, and I have actually text messages of Melissa asking me, can we, the no floaties? And I said, well, of course,
may I?
For children and whatnot, but not big floaties. Okay. So she was acknowledging the pool addendum that I had.
That I'll see. Now, she's going to show me your text messages to her.
Yes.
So you received the revised pool rules?
Yes.
And did the new pool rules say anything about guests?
No, it did not.
So if it said nothing about guests, you originally said that the pool is specifically reserved for residents of the complex.
Yes.
And according to you, the new pool rules, do they talk about having floaties in the pool?
Yes, it did.
Did it talk about having guests at the pool?
Yeah, actually it did.
And what did it say?
There was no problem, just like on the original lease. It was
No.
fine to have guests in the pool.
No, that's not what this says. This says that the pool is reserved for residents of the building only.
Well, we were already told before that it was fine to have guests.
This is the contract that you signed.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So this is the first one that you signed, this one.
Mm-hmm.
And absent anything else, this says no guests at the pool. This says residents only.
Okay.
You say that it was the new rules allow you to have guests, or were they silent?
There was nothing on there saying that you cannot have guests. It was mainly just saying that you cannot have floaties, you cannot jump or run into the pool.
Just a second. Did it say anything about food?
No.
Is there a new sign posted around the pool that talks about food?
No, it does
All I
not.
want to see is, Miss Shaw, something in the new rules that talks about food. And I'm getting very bored with this. Now, when Miss Shaw came over and told you you couldn't have food, you had to get rid of the food, about what time was that?
Probably like 5, 6, I'm not exactly too sure.
And when had this food and stuff arrived?
We brought it. We were
5 people walked in with dinner to the pool area. And did the dinner include any alcoholic beverages like beer?
No.
What kind of drinks were there?
It was Pepsi. It was soda.
And what happened when Miss Shaw came over and told you you weren't allowed to have the food at the pool?
She came very aggressively.
She came aggressively and she said you're not allowed.
She stormed out and screamed, get the food out and you guys need to leave.
And so what did you do?
I told her, okay, I'd get the food out, and I made a call to my sister to come help me with the food. And as we were packaging...
Where was your sister?
She was upstairs.
So when you came out with the food, you came out of the apartment?
No, we had just gotten there. We were coming from another pool area that wasn't
What other
open.
pool area?
My boyfriend's friend. We were going to swim at his pool, but it wasn't available because there was too many people there.
Were you at your boyfriend's house during the day?
No, I was at school, and they were all at work, so we all just met up after everything.
Okay, so you were asked by Miss Shaw to get the food out, and then you called your sister.
Yes, and I told her.
And then what happened?
And I told her if she could come get the food while we swam, or if not, that we were going to leave.
Why didn't you just get out?
Well, because I was trying to help, because we were splitting the check through the money, so we're splitting the pizza, who's getting what, and all of that. And before we even could leave, she stormed out again, screaming, saying, you guys are getting a notice, you guys are getting a notice, and running up the stairs to her, because she was coming out, and she was hey, what's going on? And then she's like, you guys are getting a notice. I'm tired of everybody not listening and coming to me with your problems. And then my sister was like, whoa, hey, relax. I'm coming to get the food. And then she threw the paper and my sister backed up
Okay,
she,
so the letter, she gave your sister the letter.
It was a notice.
She gave you the paper that said, this is a complaint. There are people in the pool who are eating, drinking. They don't belong here. They're not, whatever. She said, here's your notice.
Yes.
Okay. And that was on the 21st of June. Then what happened?
She stomped down the stairs, and I'm trying to tell her, you didn't give me time to come and get the food. And she ran back in her apartment and slammed her door.
And she went back to her apartment, and you went where?
Back into my house.
Okay, you went back into your house. And what did you do when you went back into your house?
When I got back there, I texted her, telling her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that because I did not know at the time.
Just a second. So, Ms. Duran, let's cut to the chase, so that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool, only snacks.
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it. The thing.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You knew that there was no food in the pool, only water and snacks.
Okay, yes.
So you knew that.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Now, if you know that, and you have given, I'm just telling you what the law is.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that there is a rule, and you don't convey that, that's your problem, okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's June 21st, when guests that you agreed to have in the pool, you didn't know that there was food there, you knew that there wasn't supposed to be food there, that knowledge is imparted to your guests. That's a legal assumption. I want to know what happened after June 21st. When were you served with a 3-day notice to quit?
I believe it was on the 24th.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. I have 3 of the same. They sent me 3 of them.
I just have to see one. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a Cash App, by a Cash App, return any of the money. Okay, well, you served this 3-day notice to quit, Ms. Shaw, and in it, you're alleging threatens to commit a crime. So I assume that the person, it talks about a statement, threatens to commit a crime. I assume that the threat was directed to you. Yes. In any event, you were given a 3-day notice to quit, but actually you managed to get that extended to 30 days.
Yes.
And one of the things that you had to do was to hire an attorney.
Yes.
And when you hired an attorney, did you hire an attorney and pay a retainer?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. I'd like to see proof of what you paid the attorney.
I don't think I bring what the criminal act was.
No. You're a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Landlord has a right to give you a 30-day notice and say you have to quit the premises. You have no legal right to be there. My only question is you were not given 30 days notice. You were given a 3-day notice, and I'm not actually convinced that there was a basis to give you a 3-day notice. If I called him, would he tell me that you paid him?
Yes.
Melissa Duran has accused her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, of wrongfully evicting her. Tracy claims Melissa was violating apartment rules.
Now, if you got 30 days, and the reason you got 30 days is because you retained an attorney, I'm prepared to look to see how much you paid the attorney, because that's an expense that you have that you wouldn't have had but for the 3-day notice to quit. They're entitled to tell you to leave. I mean, You're there with too many people living in the apartment. They've already had a kerfuffle because you allowed your sister and her boyfriend and friends to come to the pool. They were told no food. They ignored them. But I don't think any of that rises to the level of grounds to give you a 3-day notice to quit. I think that if they want to tell you that you have to be out in 30 days, that's reasonable, but they didn't. They gave you a 3-day notice forcing you to hire an attorney. I'm prepared to give you the attorney's fees if you prove to me that you paid an attorney.
I do have proof of that, but I do not have it with me.
Okay. And how much did you pay him? That's an easy thing for me to verify.
I believe it was $1,200.
I want you to think about it carefully.
No, it was $1,200 because he had lowered it. He lowered it from $1,400 to $1,200.
And you paid him by check or cash?
I paid him in Cash App. Is the only way I could.
Did he go to court with you?
We haven't. This is the first court act.
Okay,
So that was the reason why I obtained the lawyer, so he can find out what the criminal act was.
And just by phone calls, he got them to extend it to 30 days. So you were never in, and you left after the 30 days.
I left before the 30. I left on August 1st.
Okay. And where did you go?
I had to move all the way to Atwater, California.
Is that where you live now?
Yes, it is.
And who lives with you?
My husband and my young son. That's it, just the 3 of us. We moved into a smaller, more expensive place.
Okay, and you left your sisters?
And my mother.
And your mother.
They are somewhere completely different.
Okay, what do you...
This is in their lease about disturbances and threats.
Listen, I've already made a determination that the 3-day notice should have been a 30-day notice to leave. I don't think that anything that I've heard today rises to the level of giving people who've been in the apartment as long as they had, especially over pizza, requires a 3-day notice. So the only question that I'm entertaining on behalf of the plaintiff and the only monetary award that I'm going to contemplate are attorney's fees. Mm-hmm. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a Cash App, return any of the money since he never had to go to court for you?
No, he did not.
Just a second. If I called him right now, would he tell me that you paid him $1,200?
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Though what I was going to tell you is that I did not have enough to pay him completely. I still owe him $250.
So you didn't pay him. So you paid him $950.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
What do you mean, okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
So you paid him $950?
Yes.
I'm awarding you $950, which are your attorney's fees, for the reason that, for the reasons that I've stated, because they have an absolute right to give you a 30-day notice, tell you to leave, and there was a basis for it, actually. And you know there was a basis for saying your guests, which is you, are not abiding by the rules. You're a month-to-month tenant. Right now, we do not intend to keep you as a tenant. We're giving you 30 days notice. Was inappropriate given the level of infraction. So I'm awarding you the counsel fees because that's what it took to get you your 30 days. This case is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed in the decision.
Her actions of her aggression, throwing something in my face, That was a little bit excessive.
I don't feel that I got to say more of the story that continued to happen.
Her actions caused me to get evicted in 3 days.
They have bad character, and so I don't think that I owed them anything.
I mean, I didn't think anything like what come today, you know.
I'm just glad they're gone.
I'm happy to be out because I just really wanted her to be held responsible for what she did.
So a trend I've seen a lot here is plaintiffs suing for wrongful eviction when they're a month-to-month tenant. And from what I've learned in landlord-tenant law in New York, I know it varies a lot from state to state, is the landlord only has to give you as much notice as your term, which if you're a month-to-month tenant would be 30 days. So people have to really understand the legalese of their contract and of their lease, because if you feel like you're being wrongfully evicted as a month-to-month tenant, that's a different standard than if you have a standard year-long written lease.
Well, that's sort of the reason. I didn't think that the one instance that was raised was sufficient to give them a 3-day emergency notice to quit. Might have been enough, that coupled by the fact that there were too many people living in the apartment, to give them a 30-day notice. That is, you're right, it's your property. But I didn't think it rose to the level of a 3-day notice to quit for threats.
I didn't either, so I agreed with your $950 judgment for the attorney's fees.
Would have been happier if she had some sort of a receipt or something from her Cash App. Because
Cynthia Booth and her fiancé, Dwayne Burnley, for posting damaging reviews.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Why?
Case 2079, Frazee versus Burley Booth.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Frazee, you are an electrician by trade.
Correct.
And how long have you been in that business, sir?
Since 1986 as a license and 1978 as an electrician.
Now, maybe a decade ago, you're going to give me the exact year, month and year. You were called to do a job for this lady. Your last name is?
Booth.
Miss Booth. And you did an electrical job for her. We'll go into it more fully in a minute. When you were doing that job, you brought in a helper. This gentleman whose name is Mr. Burnley.
That's correct.
And before you brought in Mr. Burnley, I gather from the papers, Mr. Burnley did not know Miss Booth. Would that be a fair statement?
That's a fair statement, but he did not bring me in. I was actually just driving down the street, and I'm new to the mountain, and I drove by and saw Mr. Frazee there, and I was...
Listen, this is not Gone with the Wind. This is not War and Peace. I asked you a simple question. Before you were brought in on the job, you didn't know Miss Booth.
That's correct.
Right. And that was about 10 years ago.
Correct.
Since that time, since you were brought in on the job, you and Miss Booth have gotten to know each other a lot better.
Correct.
And I assume that by a lot better, that the two of you live together.
Correct.
And you've been living together for how long?
Since November.
Of this last year.
Yes.
November of 2021. But prior to that, you were social friends.
Correct.
And that social friendship started when first introduced to her at this job. It's the first time you met her.
Oh, that's the first time I met her, correct.
Correct. This is your problem, and this is the nature of your lawsuit. You allege that you did a job for Miss Booth almost a decade ago, and you came to ascertain that you wrote negative reviews about your company based on work that you did 10 years ago.
Yes.
That's your complaint. And you asked them to take them down. First they did, then they didn't. You found other ones posted in different areas. Now, Mr. Burnley, are you a working man, sir?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical contractor in Big
Okay. Now, at the time that you first met Mr. Frazee, did you have your own company?
Yes.
You had your own company.
Yes.
In what year did you do Miss Booth's job?
I did it on April 30th, 2013, Your Honor.
That's not correct.
That's not correct.
Shh. Month and year, you say you did the job.
The job was done on May 9th of 2013.
Okay, so we're off by a month. Is that right? I don't care. You were talking about 9 years ago.
Correct.
Now, tell me something about the job. What was the nature of the electrical job that you were doing?
An older home needs to have at least a minimum of a 100 amp service. Ms. Booth's home had a 70 amp service at the time. She was purchasing it, and that came up on the inspection report to replace that, which I was engaged to do.
So far, correct?
No.
Well, now I'll have your version. Did you have to upgrade the electric?
I had to upgrade due to a homeowner's insurance.
Okay,
that's
well,
what they required.
What's the difference in what he said? He said that you had to have your electricity upgraded, and it came up in the inspection report.
It did not come in an inspection report.
Well, then how did they find out? Who found out about
with my policy.
What do you mean you were honest with your policy?
Well, they asked me what year the house was and what amperage it had, and I said 75.
And your insurance company said to you it has to be 110.
Correct.
Okay, and you hired Mr. Frazee to do that.
Yes, they were my friends.
I don't care whether he was your friend or not. If he was your friend and he was a vet, you wouldn't have hired him to do your electrical work.
Of course
He was
not.
your friend and he was an electrical contractor.
Right, correct.
And when he came to your house to look at the job, did he come alone or with a helper?
Alone.
Once you change the ampage in a house, do you have to get somebody from either the county or the city where you live to sign off on it? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
And once Mr. Frazee did that, modified the ampage, did you have an inspection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have that inspection?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
And the job was not...
I didn't ask you anything.
Okay.
That also includes Mr. Burnley's inspection.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
Don't volunteer. I'm old. I get confused. I try to keep these things very linear, so even I understand them. This is the inspection sign-off on the work that you did in 2013. Have you seen it? Yes, of course you have.
No.
Well, show it to them. You do remember that you had to have an inspection afterwards.
Of course.
Ms. Booth. Okay, it's just common sense. If you didn't have the work done and you said to your insurance company, I had the work done, the insurance company would say to you, show me proof that you had the work done, otherwise we're not giving you insurance.
Correct.
So you know you had an inspection after he completed the work.
It wasn't after the work.
The work was never...
Shh. I didn't ask you anything.
Okay.
But I will answer for you.
She wasn't...
You can.
Okay.
You can. So the insurance company accepted your word that the work was done?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have that back, please?
And I did tell them I had it signed off, but it was signed off when the job was half done.
That's your problem. You want to sign off when something's half done? Fine. I wouldn't sign off when my hair was half dry. I'm saying...
John and Cynthia Frazee claimed for filing a wrongful lawsuit.
Now, my next question to you is, after 2013, did you perform electrical work for Miss Booth in her house? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you, what was the nature?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't remember.
You mean, just a second, you remember the work that you did when Mr. Frazee was there in 2013, when you were with him, but you don't remember the nature of the work that you did for your girlfriend in 2018?
I'm pretty sure it was a panel upgrade.
Just a second. I want you to think. What kind of work did you do for Miss Booth in 2018?
It must have been the panel upgrade that I did at her house. I changed the 100 amp out to a 200.
Sure, look at me.
Because that would be...
Look at me.
I'm sorry.
So you changed the 100 amp. Shh. This is not my strong suit, and I have to tell you something. Of the 100 million people who are watching this, they're going out to get a cup of coffee right now. You changed the 100 amp that he had done in 2013 to a 200 amp. You upgraded it in 2018.
And put a surge protection system
And
in
a
her
surge
house.
protection.
Yeah, now I do recall.
Great. When was the first negative review that you can show me written about your company? Now we got what's going on. Now I have it clear. Do you have it clear?
I think a little bit more fuzzy than you, but clear enough.
Do you have it clear?
I have it clear now.
You have it clear? Well, just to make it crystal clear, Mr. Frazee did work at Miss Booth's home in 2013. It was electrical work. It was electrical work performed by him with the help of Mr. Burnley, because in order to...
Correct.
That's what you say, from 70 to 100 amps.
Yes.
Look, this whole little thing at my age, I'm learning. Now, evidently, they liked what they saw in 2013, and that materialized into a romance. Good for you. And in 2018, I assume he was living there?
No.
When did he move in?
November of...
November.
November of last year.
Yes.
Okay. But you were dating in 2018?
Yes.
Yes. In 2018, Mr. Burnley, not with the help of the plaintiff, replaced and upgraded the 100 amp to 200 amp, which is much better because I know that I have 200. That's, you have to plug things in. It's 110, 220, right?
Yeah.
110, 220. And he put in a surge protector. Now, even I know what a surge protector is. Correct me if I'm mistaken. That means if there's an overload, a lightning strike, whatever it is, it protects it so the whole board doesn't fry and everything turns off, and then you have to replace all the wires go zzz. Am I right? Right. So he upgraded the system and touch of necessity, what Mr. Frazee did in 2013. No question, had to do that. Now I'd like to see the negative reviews and when they started.
The first one we found was in 2019, Your Honor.
Well, are these in order? This was...
That's the most current one that was in February of 2022.
Did you write this? Frazee Electric. He was supposed to do a panel change and never put rods in and fried my electronics in my home and garage opener. Left such a mess and never cleans up.
That's correct.
Did you write that?
Yes, I did.
When? In what year?
It's about 3 years ago.
3 years ago, 2018.
Approximately.
About when he changed the electrical
Yes,
system. Just a second. Okay. About when he changed the electrical system. All right, then you wrote something. I will not even write this company 1 star due to the unprofessionalism in completion of work. Hired this electrician to do a 100-watt panel. Never professional. Now, when did you write that review?
About the same time.
2018?
Yes, on a different review.
That was a different one. Mm-hmm. And you said that you had to hire another electrical contractor.
Yes, I
to
did.
Finish the job. And who was that?
That was DMB Electric.
That was him?
Yes, I called
Just a second.
2 competitors.
Just a second. In what year did you call them?
Oh, this was...
No, in what year did you call him?
2013.
After he left, you called them?
I called 2 other contractors.
Just a second. Did you end up using Mr. Burnley?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So back in 2013, you were dissatisfied with this company.
Yes.
Let me follow this. 2013, you were dissatisfied with the company. You called another company.
2 other.
Just a second. You called another company, but the county had signed off on your job.
Yes.
What you say in your answer is that they signed off erroneously on the job. Well,
yes.
I have to take at face value they're signing off that the job was completed. And I assume you got your homeowner's insurance.
Yes, I did.
After he left and after you had the county sign off.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But they...
Now, just a second. Now, don't tell me a but.
No.
Now, 5 years later, because this was written in 2018.
Correct.
5 years later, you're now dating Mr. Burnley.
Correct.
Who's now living with you.
No.
Who had, well, you say you moved in 2021.
Oh, 21.
Yes.
Yeah, who's now living with you. You began
now.
Dating in 2018.
That's correct.
And Mr. Burnley, who is now living with you, and in 2018, you woke up one morning and said, who now has his own electrical company, woke up and said, 5 years ago, Mr. Frazee's company, and he did not do a professional team when we, Sarah, you have Yelp and all those things in 2013?
I'm not sure if I can get back that far, but I could search.
And I wasn't aware of Yelp.
I don't care what you were aware of.
Okay.
You mean you woke up in 2019 and found out that you could give a star or a review? That's the first time you found that out? I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Well, I
just want to tell you something. I don't believe you. I don't believe that when you want to go to a restaurant, Miss Booth, and it's a new restaurant, you don't take a look on your computer and say, I wonder how many stars it got. I wonder if there are any reviews on this resort.
Yes.
Well, then you were smart enough to do this.
My sons are in IT, so they...
I want to tell you something. I don't believe you.
Okay.
Because I'm older than you are. And I know about this, and she can tell you I'm an idiot on the machine.
Well,
I don't buy it. And I don't buy, actually. Yeah, it is.
I can't see any of her reviews.
No.
But there are reviews on Yelp of his business that all are very positive.
I have them if you'd like to see them.
I will look at
And
them.
I have negative reviews that says the exact same thing what Cindy posted.
Just a second. You don't understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Burnley. I'm saying to you that it was nasty and malicious, because if she was unhappy with the service, it would have been posted in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. And it wasn't until the two of you were hoochie-coochieing that all of a sudden we got negative reviews about a job they did 9 years before. That's ridiculous. It's mean-spirited.
Electrician John Frazee has accused his former client, Cynthia Booth, of posting damaging reviews years after the job was completed.
It's mean-spirited.
That's not correct.
Just a second. You say it's not correct.
Well,
I'm looking at the timeline. I'm looking at an inspector's report.
Right.
Who is a disinterested party, who signed off on an electrical work. I'm listening to Mr. Burnley, who 5 years later did work that replaced his work from 100 amps to 200 amps with a surge protector, and all of a sudden, you start and made a mistake. I'll give you 30 seconds to do it.
Yes, we started seeing each other in 2014. And my sons are in IT administration, and they had told me, Mom, you don't know
Don't
about
tell me
Yelp?
what your sons, don't tell me what your sons told
I
you.
didn't know about Yelp or Google reviews and back at that time, because I'm not computer savvy.
You want to know something? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I'm almost 80 years old, a lot older than you are. And I know that if I want to look something up, which I do occasionally, I look something up and I say, did so-and-so eat at this fish restaurant? It's a new place, it's a new town. I'm going to go there and take a look at it. I know how to do that. And I'm an idiot, and I'm an idiot. And if you just found it out, if you just found out how to do it, then there was no reason for your first review to be about his company.
No.
About a job that was done.
91 other reviews I've posted.
Just a second. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Are you sleeping with any other electrician?
No, I'm not.
Just a second. That's the end. All those positive reviews that you posted, did any of them have to do with people that you're sleeping with? That's a question.
No,
No,
of course not.
Of course not.
I'm not that kind of girl.
What I'm telling you is the timeline doesn't make sense. These nasty reviews written about a job that started 9 years before, in this case, 6 years before, now that you are sleeping with a head of an electrical company, don't make sense. And my nose tells me if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Now, when you came back a month later, what else did you do? Didn't clean up a mess. Just a second. Didn't clean up a mess.
Yes, I cleaned up the mess.
You cleaned up what
My
mess?
mess. He
your
doesn't
mess.
clean up his mess.
Well, question. You didn't clean up his mess.
I didn't clean up his mess. I
Right.
misunderstood you.
Okay, well, that's what I said.
sorry.
You didn't clean up his mess.
No, I cleaned up his mess.
And didn't write a review.
Well, I didn't know about Yelp.
I'm telling you, you can say it until the cows come home.
not
I don't
true, Your
believe
Honor.
you. I don't believe you. And I don't believe that the first year that you found out to write a review is when you and Mr. Burnley started a relationship. I just don't believe it.
No.
And I think it's mean-spirited. You have to know, Miss Booth, I think it's mean-spirited.
But we were seeing each other in 2014.
You were seeing each other in 2014. You have a company, sir?
Yes, I
Do you
do.
have a company?
Yes.
Are you licensed?
Yes.
What's the name of your company?
DMB Electric Inc.
Just would you take a look at that, Sarah?
It'll be under DMB Electric Services Inc.
And in what year was your company formed?
This
She's-
one, this
this-
one, 2013.
He had a prior
I had a prior one.
2013.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that before or after you did her job with him?
The
Before or
license-
after?
I had the license before.
No, the company. I said, was the
Yes,
company
the company
formed?
was established.
Careful, because she's a whiz with the computer.
No, that's good.
Was your company formed before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Before you did the job with him?
Yes.
Okay, in what month in 2013?
I don't know.
Are you
what date.
guessing?
Yeah, I'm going
Are
to
you
guess
guessing?
January. Yes.
Was it before or after you did the job with the plaintiff? If you don't know the answer, say, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay, now.
The business was incorporated March 20th of 2013.
Does it have any reviews?
Only 4 from the past 2 years on Yelp, all positive.
By the way, did you ever write a review for him? Did you ever write a review for Mr. Burnley's company? Is not an answer. Did you ever write a review for Mr. Burnley's company? Stop shaking your head, Mr. Burnley. Did you ever write a review for Mr. Burnley's company? I got what went on here, and I think it was mean-spirited, and you're suing for $10,000.
Yes,
I think that their reviews and the abuse of the critique of your business warrants the award of $10,000. You have a counterclaim. Which one of you has a counterclaim?
I do.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I think that you were a co-conspirator in her writing these reviews.
Was not.
Counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
This court
We're done.
During the COVID shutdown, when nobody had any work in a small community of 5,500 people, that's what they chose to do.
Hey, I'm glad it's behind me, man. That's all I can say.
He was just getting his license, and I helped him begin his business, and this is how he serves me.
I agree with the judgment, but why $10,000? That seemed a little high for me.
You can permanently hurt somebody's business, their livelihood, if you write a negative review. Because people more and more rely on the internet when they seek a service, rely on somebody else to say, I've had a good experience or I've had a bad experience. I believe, based upon the timeline that we heard, that the defendants wrote these reviews for a reason other than bad electrical work. Because if there was bad electrical work, that would have shown itself between 2013 and 2018 when her fiance redid the whole system.
Or it wouldn't have passed the inspection.
Or it wouldn't have passed the inspection. So that, to me, is malicious. I think you have to get a real wake-up call. And to me, $500 doesn't do it. It's malicious, and I don't think he has to show any real damages other than the reputation of his business.
Friend, Joangela Stroger, for a phone and gas money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2087, Self versus Stroger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is Self?
That's correct.
There are two parts to your claim. I'm going to get and take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to get and dismiss one of them and get to the one that is important. You and the defendant were in a dating sort of relationship. That dating relationship sort of continued for a while. At some point, you had an argument, and she left you. She stranded you. That was in July of 2022. You say you had an argument, she drove off, and she left you stranded. You had to get a hotel for the night. You had to pay a friend for gas money. Blah, 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 blah.
Correct.
Forget that. That's what happens when you have a fight with your girlfriend.
Okay.
Have a fight with your girlfriend. How old are you?
I'm almost 40.
Well, for someone almost 40, they know how to get home.
Correct.
Okay, good. So let's get to what your lawsuit is. It's really about a phone that you say the defendant is responsible for losing or taking.
Taking. I have video to
taking. And the defendant in some way acknowledges that she disposed of your phone, and she says she had very good cause to dispose of your phone. She's going to tell me why. So I'm going to get some dates from you, Mr. Self, and I'm going to, at the same time, explore what I see is her answer and her counterclaim.
Okay.
Now, after the two of you had broken up, Miss Stroger was at a bar, and she was at a bar on what date?
I would say that would be the 16th. It was actually on the 19th.
August 2nd.
Was it August
8-2. You see how...
She knows better about these dates than I do.
Well, but it's your case.
I understand that.
So let's say she's right, that it happened on August 2nd.
Okay.
And at that time, the two of you were no longer dating or a couple.
Yes.
And you were going to a bar. And when you got there, was the defendant there?
Not that I was aware of at the particular time.
You didn't see her?
I didn't see her, no.
What time did you get to the bar?
I'd say about 4 or 5.
Anybody else at the bar?
There's quite a bit of people there, to be honest.
How many people?
I'd say about 30.
Anybody you knew?
Quite a bit of people.
Of the 30 people there, how many people did you know?
I'd say at least 10.
But you indicate when you got there, you did whom you knew. So you knew some people, and this was a former girlfriend of yours with whom you had been close association and intimate, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see her.
Well, they have a back patio, and then they also have the indoors and everything like that. And then they have a front area, too, as well, so.
Tell me, Mr. Self, when did you, in fact, see her?
It's when she was doing the bowling.
And that was a little bit later on when I was playing pool.
About what time was that?
I don't know, probably like 7 or 8.
So you had been in the bar for between 3 and 4 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're at the bar for 3 or 4 hours. And are your friends there, these 10 people that you knew?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit to the breakup that you two had.
Gotcha.
Was it a mutual breakup?
So what ended up happening and everything, that we had a disagreement on the 23rd in Norco, and she left me stranded there, so I had to get another friend give me a ride back to my residence.
I can't understand a word you're saying because you're speaking too fast.
On the 23rd,
Better.
she left me at a barbecue and had a friend give me a ride back to Riverside, California.
A friend who was at the barbecue.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you were at a barbecue with her,
That's correct.
and that was how far away from where you were living in Riverside?
I'd say about 20 minutes away.
And your friend was at the barbecue, and after you had an argument with her, your friend took you home.
Prior.
No, not prior. Is that what you just said to me?
In Norco, California, is when she left me at a barbecue. And then at the bar, or when we were down in Huntington Beach on the 30th, she left me. I have video that shows all that.
All right. I asked you whether the breakup was acrimonious. So one time she left you at a barbecue where you knew somebody who drove you home.
Correct.
And you didn't stay in a motel, you didn't do anything else. Okay, good. And then she did it again.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying to me?
Yes.
And the second time was when?
It was on the 30th.
Okay. And that is the time when you say you had to spend some time over. So after she left you the second time,
Yes.
is that when you no longer communicated with her?
That's correct.
Did you say, why did you leave me? How dare you leave me? You didn't have any...
She was upset and distraught about showing up late.
Who showed up late?
We did, because I was with her.
I just need a date of that,
On the 30th.
sir. I have on the 30th. So she was upset that you showed up late, and...
We showed up late to her cousin's thing. They're supposed to be at 2 o'clock. We got there about 2:05. She's upset about that. When we were driving down the road, because we're trying to find parking, which everybody was around and everything, she was getting upset and getting angry with another driver, to the point where I had to pull the e-brake to stop the vehicle, as I thought she was going to run into it.
And then what
I tried
happened?
to de-escalate the situation as much as possible. Mind you, there's 2 minors there in the back.
I would just like to know, was the breakup, I'm trying to figure out, was the breakup acrimonious or mutual on the 30th? Who broke up with whom?
She left me.
She left you there.
That's correct.
On the 30th. After she left you there on the 30th, did you have any communication with her?
I was done with it.
Just a second. So after the 30th, you didn't see her or communicate with her until you saw her on August 2nd, is what you're saying.
Yes. I didn't see her again.
Didn't see her again or communicate with her from the 30th of July until August 2nd, a few days later.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe so. I can look at my records right now to see, but I don't believe I gave her a call or anything like that.
Okay. And when you saw her at the bar that you were in, you saw her later between 6 and 7. She was bowling.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an answer. The answer is yes.
Yes.
She was bowling. You were playing pool.
Correct.
And what this is about is your phone, which
Yes.
you're missing. So
Yes.
tell me about the phone, sir.
So I have a Note 10 Plus that was behind the bar at the time, instead of going to my vehicle, which I typically charge it from that
Just a second. So you were charging your phone at the bar.
Correct.
When had you put the phone in to charge it?
Later on that evening, around 10, maybe 11, I'm guessing.
10 or 11?
I'm
Just
guessing.
a second. 10 or 11. So,
Because there's a few times I actually go in there, I charge it, then I use it for a little bit.
well,
go back
but
there.
you saw it the last time.
I apologize for that.
Last time you saw it, you plugged it in. It was like 10 or 11. So now you've been in the bar from 4 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
And she was there, at least as far as you know, from about 7 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
Keep going.
So I charge it, and
What were you doing?
friends.
Friends.
What's going on? You know, social media, all the good stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, I was playing pool. I went outside, had a cigarette, and then that's when she, at 12:33 is when she ended up with her girlfriend looking around, all this other stuff. Like I stated before, I have the video that shows that on the camera. Would you like to see it?
So far, I'm not understanding you. So why don't you explain it to me, and then you can show it to me. So far, it's all a jumble. 12:30 at night. You have
12:33 is when she stole the phone.
is when she stole the phone.
That's correct.
And you bought the phone when, sir?
About 2 years ago.
And how much did you pay for it?
I don't know, I think like $800, $700.
Well, this is your case. How am I supposed to figure out? You're suing for a phone that she took. How am I supposed to figure out how much she owes you for the phone if she took it?
I don't know how much I paid for it, but I know it retails for about $1,200.
Show me.
So I got the The case cover.
What kind of phone was
The
it?
Note 10 Plus.
The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus is typically $395 to $512.
At this point in time, yes.
Well, that's what it would cost you to replace it.
Okay.
Now, you do not deny that you put your hands on his phone in a manner in which you intended to have it removed from his custody, which means, according to you, you took the phone out of the charger and threw it in the trash or trash someplace. So far, Mr. Self, the defendant acknowledges that she took the phone and trashed it.
All right.
And I want you to make sure that you answer my questions carefully. While you were at the bar between 7 and 12, did you ever show anyone at the bar a photograph of the defendant?
No, I did not.
Now I'll hear you.
So I got to the bar around 8:30 because I played darts that night. I did not see the plaintiff. I was playing bowling. There was an arcade game. And when he came in, he started showing videos of me.
That's incorrect.
Don't speak. There is a protective order in place, and if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service, you better do so. In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far.
David Self claims his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, owes for a phone and gas money. Joangela is countersuing for harassment.
Now, did you see him showing videos of you to anyone at the bar?
I saw him showing videos.
But didn't see what they were?
No.
I would never do such a thing. Apologize.
Could you stand up, please? Absolutely. Do you know Mr. Self?
I do.
Tell me your name.
Amy.
Amy what?
Clark.
Were you at the bar on the 2nd of August?
I was.
And you know the defendant?
Yes, she's a friend of mine.
And what about Mr. Self? How do you know him?
As her ex-boyfriend.
Be careful of what you answer me. Did you see what Mr. Self was showing on his phone?
I did not see what he was showing on his phone. I saw him showing the phone, and I had friends who came up to me to see if I had seen it.
You can't tell me what your friends told you.
Understand.
You can sit down. Now, Ms. Stroger, your answer, and of course your counterclaim, involved the fact that Mr. Self was showing intimate pictures of you that he had maintained on his phone. So far, we don't have a witness to that. So what I want you to tell me is whether or not you personally had a conversation with Mr. Self about those videos on that night on August 2nd.
I asked him not to show video of me around the bar that night.
You did have a conversation with him?
Yeah, because he approached me.
Put your hand down. I want you to tell me about the conversation.
He approached me basically...
I don't want to hear basically.
He approached me
what time?
saying hi about 9:30 that night. Approached me saying hi. I told him I didn't want anything to do with him, that I had seen him showing videos, and that I was told that it was sexual videos of myself.
And what did he say?
He said he can do what he wants with his phone, and walked away.
Do you recall that conversation, Mr. Self?
There was no conversation that took place. The only video...
No. Slowly. There was no conversation, that took place.
That took place about anything like that. What video I did have was her being irate over there in Huntington Beach. So if you'd like to see that too as well.
No, I'd like to see...
I don't have...
Just a second. Oh, he has a new phone. Got it. He has... just dawned on me. He has a new phone. Well...
I did have a letter stating that he did get the backup, and he's got all the videos again.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
I do have a backup. Once I...
Just a second.
Okay.
He sent this to my boss at 1:30 in the morning. 2:43, sorry.
Mr. Self, this was sent by you to her boss on the 9th of August.
Okay.
Would you tell me the purpose of sending this letter to her boss?
She does very good at showing that she's a good person and all the other good stuff.
No, I don't think... Listen to me. I don't necessarily think anything.
Okay.
I think any woman that allows photographs to be taken of her, intimate photographs that she would not want put on the... I'm speaking.
Okay.
I'm speaking that she would not want posted on the front page of a local newspaper.
Correct.
I think that that's foolish.
Yeah.
I do. And I know a lot of people do it. I do a shout out every once in a while and say that that's stupid to do. And I think certainly if you were showing those videos or those photographs to anyone at the bar because you were annoyed with her or whatever, you thought it was fun, I think that that's
childish.
Sad, maybe worse. What I want to know is, after this all happened, why you sent this email to her boss.
Because the thing is this, that she is trying to pin me as a bad guy or something like that, is what she's really trying to do. She's trying to manipulate it to be on her side. She lies and manipulates all the time. And I've seen that because I was with her. I should know. Okay? The thing is this, I have the video of her over there in Huntington Beach being irate, unable to have a conversation.
I don't care if she's irate, sir. Right now, she has no proof that you were showing videos of her at the bar that evening.
Yes.
You don't have that because that's your counterclaim.
He's been doing.
Okay. I have to dismiss that part of your counterclaim, which is for revenge porn. Okay. Now, you're going to tell me about the stalking, and first I'll take a look at a police report.
The police report, unfortunately...
Just a second. If you don't have it...
I have a restraining order, and the police...
Just a second. Do you have a restraining order that's in effect now?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Also, Your Honor, too, I have also...
No, I'm not...
Okay.
I didn't ask you anything. Were you at a hearing, Mr. Self, on this protective order?
I never even got served papers at all for anything.
I have proof of service.
Was there a signature on it?
Well, Mr. Self, she has a restraining order that's, and the hearing date was August 25th, 2022. She appeared. You're supposed to stay away from her. I'm just telling you. And I'm telling you, considering the fact, and I don't know whether you were released from prison recently. Are you still on parole?
I'm on parole right now, yes.
Okay. Well, if you're... I didn't ask you anything. Well, if you're on parole, Mr. Self, and you say you weren't served with this restraining order, I would strongly advise, sir, that you retain counsel and question service.
Yeah, I've contacted my probation officer. They're well aware of the situation.
Don't tell me what they're aware of. I'm telling you that there is a protective order in place.
Gotcha.
And if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service of that protective order, you better do so.
Okay.
In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far away from her.
He called me yesterday.
I called you yesterday?
Yes.
Don't speak to her. Tell me what the conversation was yesterday.
I was on my way to work, and I didn't know the phone number, so I answered it, and he said, please just give me a minute, and I hung up.
Did you call her yesterday from that phone?
There is a phone.
Just a second. That would be a yes.
Yes.
Okay, and you know this situation is hostile.
Yes.
And you knew you were coming here today.
That's correct.
Would you tell me, please, why you called her yesterday?
I didn't mean to call her by any means. It's pocket dialed her.
Well, if it but called her or pocket dialed her, sir, that means that you were able to transfer all the information that you had on your old phone into your new phone, because after the experience that you had at the bar...
Here.
Well, if you got it, listen to me. If you got it right here, then it wasn't a butt call. So you can either butt call when, am I wrong about that? You know, I'm not technically sophisticated, but I do know this. I can't think into my phone. Now, maybe there is a phone that you can think into. I'd say, well, I have her number right here. You can't say, am I missing something here?
You might only butt dial me because I'm in your favorites, but...
Why would you send this to her boss?
It shows that she lies and manipulates and all sort of stuff to get her way.
I'm at a point where I don't actually believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar.
David Self is accusing his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, of throwing away his phone. Joangela is countersuing, claiming David shared private photos of her.
Okay, so you called her. You want to tell me why you called her yesterday?
I accidentally called her.
What's her number doing in your phone?
Because I keep all the numbers and everything just in case I have to get a hold of somebody. Because you know how many times I've been with her and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Yeah. Tons of times. You know what I mean?
You know, sir, something, Mr. Self, I don't believe you, sir.
Okay.
I don't believe you, and I don't believe that there was ever any reason for you to contact her boss. I think she has an order of protection.
Okay.
I'd like to see proof of service. Do you have it?
Yes. Oh, it's not connected with that. I'm sorry. If not, I have a picture of the service in front of his house.
Yeah. Server's name. So it was personal service.
And I do have a video after the fact of what she's talking about, the individual coming to the house. So I recorded
I'm just
that.
reading the proof of service, sir. You said you weren't served.
I
I'd
was
like to
served.
see proof of service. If you had proof of service, you were served.
I wasn't served.
Okay.
Just because you take a picture in front of a house and everything doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Why is that? I wasn't even aware.
If I would suggest to you that hire a lawyer.
Okay.
If you think that the service was improper, I'm satisfied with it, and another judge was satisfied with it, and I still don't understand why you wrote to her boss. Why you wrote to her boss afterwards. Any other communications?
To my boss, yes.
May I see it, please? Well, this is also written on August 9th, sir. This is from you, and it's a very graphic email to her boss. You want to take a look at it?
I do indeed.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to show it to you.
Okay. Thank you. So this is really just stating the individual that they hired, that they...
Now, I'm just asking you whether you sent that to her boss.
That is my email address, and that looks
Yes,
like my
so-
writing. That's correct. Or
That's
my-
just- the question is, did you send that to her boss?
Indeed.
Okay. May I have it, please? And that was after the events, a week after the events of the 2nd of August, right?
Okay, yes.
You want to tell me why you sent that to her boss?
Well,
I mean, it's not telling that she's a thief. You have to be careful of her. It's talking about sexual things.
where is it saying sexual things in that?
Oh, very easy. You say she lies to her boss about cramps while we lay in
She
bed.
is literally taking off of work saying that she's, sick or...
So I'm asking you why. Why would you send this to her boss?
It shows that she lies and manipulates and all this other stuff to get her way.
Okay.
The fact of nature, I understand that I've been to prison and all this other stuff. I could be the bad guy and all that great stuff. I understand that.
I'm not saying she's a good person.
Correct.
I'm not saying you're a bad person.
Correct.
She's got to pay for her phone.
Yes.
You got to pay for this. Because I'm at a point where I don't actually believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar. I don't believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar.
I would never do such a
Just
thing.
a second. Well, the same person who would never do such a thing wrote to her boss that you were present when she called her boss and said, I can't come to her because I have cramps, and she was laying in bed with you.
Correct.
Okay? And that same person wouldn't show a picture,
No,
No.
different.
Okay, good. On your counterclaim, I am awarding you his phone. There are alternatives. One of them is not trashing his phone. Therefore, ordering on the counterclaim a judgment for the defendant in the amount of $4,500. Plaintiff's case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
She gets away with it again.
The judge is very fair. Unfortunately, he tried to make me look like the bad guy, but the judge can see right through him.
Did I show her videos? Yes, why she was being irate over there in Huntington Beach.
That he's showing sexual videos of me and him.
The nudes and all that stuff? No. Why would I do something like that?
I went black, and that's the only reason why I threw the phone in the trash in the first place, because I felt helpless.
She sold me on this great person and everything, but come to find out, you know what, it's not what it is.
I gotta just be more careful with their phone around.
I guess, Sarah, it's because of my generation. But I've been saying for a very long time, even before the internet, because, I was, in fact, young at some point in my life, and they did have all kinds of cameras and Polaroid cameras back in the day. But never take a photograph of yourself or allow a photograph to be taken that you wouldn't like to see on the front page of the New York Times. And now with social media, I think that that's more true than ever. To me, why would you post anything or take a picture, allow a picture to be taken that might later embarrass you?
I agree to an extent, but I disagree with you that in this case, because the defendant mentioned that the plaintiff had taken some of this video and photo without her permission. And I think that now it can get a little bit blurry as to, well, I didn't approve my photo taken. Obviously, a sexually explicit photo getting sent to your boss is not the intended purpose of that photo. I think whoever sends that photo, misdirecting the intention of the photo, is the one that should be held accountable, not the person that was sending it in for a purpose of a long-distance relationship. There's many reasons why now people might send photos that they wouldn't want plastered on the front page of the New York Times. But as the recipient of a photo like that,
you're not supposed to republish
You
it.
have a responsibility, if you care enough about that person, to keep its intended purpose private.
I absolutely agree with you. But it is bad.
Willie Albrecht for filing a false police report and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2068, Automatis versus Albrecht.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Albrecht, I'm going to start with you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You are the current live-in boyfriend of the plaintiff's ex-wife?
Soon to be.
Of the plaintiff's wife.
Correct.
Mr. Adamus's complaint is that as a result of you making a call to the police, he was defamed when you said that he was trespassing. It was a false call to the police, and he wants to be compensated to the tune of $2,500. That's what the case is about. So in order to make this whole thing in context that I understand, how long have you been living with Mrs. Adamus?
Since June of 21.
How long do you know her?
Since January of 21.
Have you ever been married?
Yes, I have.
When and for how long?
Previously to April of this year, I was married for 15 years.
So you were married when you moved in with Mrs. Adamus?
Yeah.
Legally?
Legally.
Did you own your own home?
I did.
With him?
No, I do not.
Does he live in the house?
Not at this time.
Did he ever?
Yes, he did.
And you didn't like it?
No, I did not.
So I want you to understand that there is maybe a reason why the plaintiff resents you living in a house that he owns with his still wife, and you're living there. Do you understand?
I do.
Because you sort of have the same situation. You're kindred spirits. Just a minute. Actually, you're kindred spirits.
Except my 15-year-old son also lives with this young man.
So who cares?
Oh.
Well, that's all right. But you understand why he might be annoyed.
I do, but...
Okay. So now, understanding all that, I want you to tell me, because I'm not totally sympathetic with you, sir, because if you and your wife are divorcing, you're entitled to move on with your life, and so is she entitled to move.
I've lived when we separated March of 2021.
And who do you live with?
I currently live with my...
No. Who do you live with is the question.
My older son.
And how old is he?
19.
And how many bedrooms are in the condo?
2.
And what about you? Have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do.
Ever stay over?
My house? No.
Do you ever stay at her house?
No.
Does she live with her children?
Yes.
And is she divorced?
Yes.
And she stayed in the house?
Yes.
You see how all these things go? It's just, as the world turns. It's just what happens. I've been there. Understand it all. Can either make it hard or difficult. Who pays the mortgage on the house?
Paid off.
Okay. So you have one teenage child, your wife has the other.
Yes.
And how close is the judgment to divorce to being finalized?
Not close.
Not close. Is that for financial reasons or custody reasons?
Financial.
Had to do with the house?
Yes.
Okay. How much is the house? I'm just fleshing this out.
Speculating.
Probably because I'm a little bit of a yenta. Behind this purple robe is a little bit of a...
You know, with the housing market being a CPA, you know, it's California.
While she's looking that up, tell me when you and your wife purchased it.
2006, August of 2006.
And during the course of the marriage, were you employed all the time?
100%.
And what about your wife?
100%.
So you were both employed and both contributed to the house. Fair statement?
Yes.
Great. Okay.
It's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. The estimate is $552,000.
And just for my own curiosity, what's the rub about the house?
The rub
Come on, it's simple.
The rub about the house is she's now went in and spent an ungodly amount of money on fixer-upper after I moved out and went into a massive amount of debt. The house was fully paid off, and she's now in massive debt. She's put in fixer-upper.
No, don't look at her.
Okay, that's
look
what
at me.
Okay.
So she's fixed up the house after you moved out.
Correct.
And?
It's not a problem.
Just a second. So what's the problem?
There is no problem with the house, meaning that...
The other one out.
Exactly.
For $260,000.
Correct.
Okay? It would seem to me that would be easy.
I think so.
Okay. Now that I've satisfied the yenta in me, I'm getting back to the case. All right. You called the police. This incident, according to what I read, Mr. Adamus, happened on November 5th?
Correct.
You went to the house to pick up your son?
Correct.
Okay. Was that a meeting that had been arranged before?
I have visitation every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks when?
Every other weekend.
Well, so was this a weekend?
Yes, that was one where I was going to go pick him up.
Okay. Had you spoken to him?
Yes.
And so he was expecting you to come at a certain time?
Absolutely.
What time?
Approximately there, we'd arranged about 7:15, that 7:15, 7:30 that night.
Okay. And you had visitation fixed by the court, and you had been enjoying that with your son for a period of time?
Correct.
Okay. What happened when you got there at 7:15?
Well, on that particular visit, my wife had taken his key to the house, and I had...
No. I told you, don't look at her.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, okay.
I'm getting sympathetic with her. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
7:15, you went to pick up your son, and should have his key because he was 15.
Yes.
And?
So at that particular time, I
don't look down.
Okay, look at me. I went into the house. I'd never been in that house since I moved out, and so I wanted.
How did you get into the house?
The door was open.
Okay, the door isn't wide open. You mean it was unlocked?
Unlocked.
Okay, so let's not say the door was open.
Okay,
the door was unlocked.
Correct.
Door was unlocked. You don't live there anymore. You live in a condo.
Correct.
Okay, did you ring the bell?
No.
Knock at the door?
Yes.
But there's a bell. There's a bell.
There was a bell.
There's a bell.
Yes.
Didn't ring the bell. Open the door. Now, open the door.
Yes.
Your house, I own half of it. I'm going to ask my wife a question.
Yes.
Keep going.
Walked into the house. At that particular time, she is sitting there with my son. At that particular time, I asked her to get a copy of the key, and we became into an argument. She didn't want me to have a copy of the key. And I tried to explain to her, without a copy of the key, he can't get in. I'd never met Mr. Albrecht before this time. He comes storming down the stairs. Mr. Albrecht I think Mr. Albrecht's coming to beat me up. He is storming down the stairs. I have since learned that Mr. Albrecht...
Just stop.
Okay.
Just pay careful attention to me. So far, you're in the wrong.
Okay.
Now, let me just tell you.
Okay.
So far, from a legal perspective...
Right.
And a common sense perspective...
Okay.
You're in the wrong. I'll explain why in a second.
So I walk into the house.
We got past that.
Okay.
We got past that. So now you want a copy of the key, and she says no. I don't care if you want to give it to your parakeet.
Okay.
You're not entitled to a copy of the key.
Okay.
Let's start right there.
Okay.
And let's start with my first point is if you're going there to pick up your son for a prearranged visit,
yes,
you don't walk into the house. You have a 15-year-old son. A 15-year-old son has a phone.
I tried to call him, yes.
Oh, you tried to call him. What happened?
He said he was there, he said...
Be very careful what you say to me.
Okay,
You called your son.
And I called my son, be ready to go. He said, okay, I'm ready to go.
That was at about 7 o'clock.
Yes, approximately.
What do you mean, yes, approximately?
Yeah, I was probably on my way to pick him up. And so when I come up there, I call him on the phone.
Okay, he's ready to go.
Yes. I
changed the locks.
I did not know at that time she had changed the lock because the door was open. I had not been
No. Listen to me. You went there because... Mr. Adonis, you have to be a two-process thinker, sir, before you give me a lot of baloney. You knew that your old key didn't open the house. Otherwise, you would have said, your mother took away your key. I'll make you another key from my copy.
True.
True. Of course it's true. So, you know.
And later today.
I wasn't allowed to live with my dad and stepmom because they moved into a 55 and over neighborhood.
When? If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Frank Automitis claims his wife's boyfriend, Willie Albrecht, wrongfully called the police while visiting his own house.
Key to the house.
Correct.
You didn't need a copy to make because you would have had one.
Okay.
So you knew that your old key didn't open the house. Otherwise, you would have said, your mother took away your key. I'll make you another key from my copy.
True.
True. Of course it's true. So, you know, so he called the police and he said you were trespassing.
No, he didn't say that at all.
What did he say?
He said he told me I was trespassing. Then he called on the phone. And when he's on the phone with the police department, he is telling them that I am now committing domestic violence. Now, That is a very serious charge. I mean, okay, we can debate about my access to the house, but when you call the police and say that I'm committing domestic violence, which is a crime in the state of California, that's a game changer. So
I want to ask you a question, Mr. Adonis. When you walked into the house and you saw your wife and your son, I want to know, when you walked in uninvited, your first words were, "I want a copy of the key." That's what you said. You said, "I want a copy of the key." Would you read that back to me, please, Whitney?
I'll go with that.
At that particular time, I asked her to get a copy of the key, and we became into an argument.
So now you're in an argument, and you're a trespasser.
Very, very shocking.
She's absolutely correct, as she usually is.
I had no idea this was going to blow up into World War III.
Because he's all about winning. He didn't get his way. He was throwing a temper tantrum.
I feel that he's just trying to do whatever he can to keep me out of the picture.
He lives by his own rules.
He just simply wants me out of the way so he could take over.
Let the courts decide.
It's always so unfortunate when people divorce. I mean, the story is this. I could have written the script without even listening to the people. But they have two teenage boys, 15, 19 years old. One's chosen to live with the father. One's chosen to live with the mother. Clearly, the son said to him, "Mom took away my key." She clearly took away his key for a reason. I didn't even want to get into what the reason was, but clearly she took away the key for a reason. Otherwise, she doesn't look like an unreasonable person. Her boyfriend doesn't look like an unreasonable guy. And he was flexing his muscles. And the fight is over the house, because I gather that's the only real asset they have. Yeah. Anyway, unfortunate when people don't realize that they...
Restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2052, Henry versus Christine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Henry, what you're doing is suing the defendant with whom you had a relationship for a period of time for the return of property that you had in an apartment that you once shared, and for filing a false restraining order, a false police report.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says that you never lived with her, that you damaged her front door, and you filed a restraining order against her that was false. So, Miss Christian, I think I'm going to start with you.
Yes, ma'am.
According to the papers that were filed, you and Mr. Henry did, in fact, live together for a period of time up until...
October 9th.
Shh. Up until October 9th of 1921.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of 2021, 1921, hardly almost the year of my birth.
Yes, ma'am.
2021, when he left.
Yeah, without a note.
Just a second. October of 2021. Then the information that I have contained in these papers indicate that he sort of came begging back. And that was in February.
Yes, ma'am.
Of 2022. And you took him back.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was living with you. You were living in the same apartment from February of 2022 until what you say in your answer is June of 2022, when for some reason you were looking through his phone. Now, you were looking through his phone because he was acting weird or whatever.
Yes.
That's June of 2022. You understand where I'm going, Miss Christian, don't you? Of course you do. So from February of 2022, February, March, April, May, for 4.5 months, Mr. Henry and you occupied the same residence.
No, ma'am.
Your residence.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you say.
No, ma'am.
Oh.
He lived in his own apartment in Merritt Island. When we got back together.
Here we go. On February 15th, 2022, he contacted me and we got back together. He had his own place and never lived with me again. He would stay over occasionally and bring a few things to make himself comfortable. On June 21st, went through his phone.
He was asleep.
He was asleep where?
In my bed.
Okay. In the apartment?
Yes, I work at 6 o'clock.
In the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, yes, ma'am. And I saw that he was setting up a date with the mother of his child.
Yes, ma'am.
I got upset, dropped off my son, and then came back home while he was packing. He told me he was taking my couch, TV, dresser, dining table, and everything in my apartment. So my next question to you is, who paid for the couch?
Me.
I'd like to see a receipt.
I don't have it.
Who paid for the couch?
It was a couple years ago. Sorry.
My brother, Adonis Glover, he's the one that gave me the furniture.
Just a second.
He gave me the couch, the love seat, the lamp, you know, a few other things listed on that document.
When did he give them to you?
He gave it to me before me and Miss Christian moved in the first apartment.
So let's go back. Where was the first place that you lived with the defendant?
Cocoa, Florida.
Okay. From when to when?
From 2020 October to February, March 2021, because that's when her lease was up.
Were you both on the lease in that apartment?
No, I wasn't on that lease.
Just you?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the first place that you lived together?
Yes.
And why did you leave that place, Mr. Henry?
She was relocating to Titusville. I helped her move into it, and I moved in as well.
Does that sound familiar to you? Be very careful what you say to me, because when I say I read the papers and I have my own preconceived ideas of what this case is about based upon 50 years worth of experience, be very careful what you say to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Does that sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am, he is lying.
He is lying about what?
Adonis did not give him that furniture. Furniture was given to me, never was given.
Just a second. So we're not talking about the furniture now. We're talking about. So that sounds familiar. Am I correct that this is all about furniture?
No.
Mr. Henry, value of property. She's not paying you for property, for furniture that was given to you that was secondhand. You have to understand that. If I find that it's your furniture, you're going to go and get it.
Yes, that's what I was hoping.
Just a second. Yeah. You're going to go and get it. Yes. If you can establish to me that it's your furniture, you can keep it. You're not a married couple. I have a couple of issues with some things that I think that you did, because I actually think that you were together and he was packing his things, but then the police were called and you told the police that he didn't live there. Isn't that right?
Yes. Okay. Because...
And just a second. And that wasn't true.
It is true.
Tell me where he was living.
He was living in Merritt Island. Okay. Whenever we broke up in October, from October to February, we broke up. He reached out to me the day after Valentine's Day. We started talking. He was buying me gifts to try to get back in my good graces. He was doing all this extra stuff to try to get back in my good graces. We got back together. He never did move back in with me. He always did live in his apartment in Merritt Island. I work at 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 p.m. Sometimes whenever I didn't have a babysitter, he doesn't have a job, he would watch my son. That's why he had a key. That's why he had to spend the night bag and all of that. He would bring over his clothes, shoes, PlayStation, anything to make himself comfortable to stay the night. And whenever the police were called, they made him collect all of those belongings and leave. They escorted him off the property, told him that he was not allowed back. They told me that
well, that's because if that's what's happened, that's because they believe you, which I don't.
Okay. They definitely...
That's because they believe you, and I don't, because if he was trying to get back in your graces and he was living in his own space and you weren't back together again, why in the world were you going through his phone? If you were just a casual gal, and a casual gal doesn't let him stay with her son because, well, he was available and he wasn't working, so he watched my son and he stayed over. That all sounds like a whole lot of Who Shot John. And it was convenient for you to be able to say he doesn't live here. So all I want to know, Miss Christian, is this case is mostly about furniture, used furniture.
I also have...
So the TV was...
Just a second. That's either yes or no.
No, the TV does not belong to him.
Who does it belong to?
The TV was a gift from him to me that I ended up paying off because he told me that when he bought it, that it was bought cash. Whenever months later, I paid the TV off.
No, you didn't.
Just a shh. First, you're going to show me that you paid it off. I assume you have proof that you paid it off?
I paid him cash for it because I did not think that we were ever going to break up.
Well, you never thought you were going to break up. I thought he didn't live with you. I thought he didn't live with you. You don't buy TV for somebody that you don't live with, that you're not going to watch all the time.
Eventually thought we were going to move into a house together, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Oh, don't tell me what you thought.
The TV that was bought was before I even...
Okay.
It had nothing.
That's a PlayStation and Nintendo.
Still property that's still at the apartment.
Okay. These are things that you say are yours,
yes,
that you bought and paid for.
Yes.
Okay. All of these receipts.
All of it. No help.
Okay. So let's go beyond the point of now you're back together again, because that's what I believe. He's in bed. You're going through his phone. You find he's making a date with the mother of his child. You get annoyed. You take your son to another location because you know that there's going to be an argument. You come back. There is an argument.
Yes.
He wants to take stuff, whatever. Police are called. You tell the police he doesn't live there, they escort him out. He wants his property now. You're not married people. Whoever paid for the property or whoever was the recipient of a gift for the property owns the property. That's simple. You know, that's what the law is. What you want me to believe that a police officer saw him kick down your door, go into your apartment, take property, and did nothing. That's what you want me to believe.
Raheem Henry claims his ex-girlfriend, Erica Christian, owes for personal property. Erica is countersuing for door damages and stolen property.
Okay, he has a foundation, and we have May of 2022. This is a TV, an LED TV.
Yes. That was my birthday present.
Nah. What? Okay, so I have titles to these things. You have titles or receipts for any of these things?
I don't have receipts for any of those things. He grabbed his PlayStation, his Switch, and everything whenever he left. The only thing that is in my apartment is the TV that he bought me for my birthday. May is my birthday. May 7th is my birthday. That was my birthday present that he bought for me.
Did you take your Nintendo?
No.
Did
I haven't had... Recently, that was something different. My storage unit was just broken into. This is why I don't have original documents. And she stole more of my property.
I don't know that. Did you file a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did they ever find any of the property?
No, not right now.
Okay. The couch, whatever other furniture is there, is how old? I mean, it used to be used furniture, so it was...
Yeah, my brother Adonis got it when he paid for it. It was like a kind of like a bundle deal for the apartment, like a lot of furnishing, and I ended up giving him some money for, you know, looking out.
That was 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
And it was used furniture at the time?
Yeah. It wasn't nothing like brand new out of the seal.
How much did you pay for the TV?
I got taxed when I was like at $1,500, almost to $2,000, because it's a 60-inch smart TV.
Okay. So what is it that you want, is my question.
I want a court order to go get the rest of my property.
I have to know what the rest of your property is. Yes. You have the TV.
The TV, I have asthma medication, I have plantar fasciitis.
I want to tell you something. She threw out your asthma medication.
I believe so, too.
She threw out your asthma medication. Yeah. What else?
I have crutches. I have...
You have what?
Crutches and certain things. I have
PlayStation. Look, you don't need crutches. And the PlayStation, you said, was in the storage unit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not interested in the storage unit. So far, I have a TV. What else?
My mattress, my bed,
you don't want
that I had
in the
apartment.
You don't want a mattress. Are you back with this lady now?
No.
Where are you living?
I've been living on the streets. I've been living out of my car ever since this been happening.
Where are you going to put a mattress?
I have a storage unit that I was going to just collect. I'm pretty much just trying to salvage what I can because I have things that's sentimental.
I don't know what the rest of... I have a TV. You have no place to put a mattress that's a couple of years old. So you really don't need that. I mean, I can give you an order to get your mattress, but what are you going to do with it? It's just going to cost you to go get it and to store it. So you really don't need it.
I don't need it, but I would like to still get all of my property back. Like the stuff that I paid for because I worked hard. I furnished
I'm giving
my
you
apartment.
your TV back. You're going to get the TV. I haven't figured out what else it is that you really want to make this whole thing worthwhile. I'm not giving you any money. Do you want the mattress back? You paid for it. You're entitled to it back. I can give you an order for the mattress and the TV.
Okay. And I also have electronics, like from games to controllers, just so much things that
TV, mattress, box spring. He's going to come and get it with a marshal, but he's coming to get it within 5 days from today.
So what if I pull up my bank statements to show that I gave him cash around the same time that whenever it was pulled up and everything? Because I did give him cash for the TV, for the bed, for actually more than he ever even put into it.
Let me explain something to you. Unless you have a check made out to him, I have a problem with somebody who lies to the police.
Ma'am,
I do. I have trouble with somebody who got very angry because her boyfriend, who was living there, watching her son, brought a TV, bought a mattress, bought a box spring, bought all of those things, and then you got annoyed that he was involved again with his child's mother. You dropped off your son someplace else to come back to have a fight with him. You did have an argument with him. Police were called. You said to the police, he doesn't live here.
Your Honor, he moved out.
He doesn't live here. That's what's here.
Your Honor, I never moved out.
He moved out in
We had a whole
October.
business together.
No, we do not. That business is in my name, and I have the receipts to that, too.
You have to understand something. I know what happened. I don't believe you.
Ma'am, I'm
you
telling
have
you
to.
the truth.
No, you're not. You're not telling me the truth. That when the police came, you said he. Oh no.
May I finish? He took all of his belongings on October 9th. Whenever he left, without a call, without a text message, without anything, he broke up with me and left. He got back in contact with me in February. Mind you, we never lived together after that.
He was just staying over to watch your son when you got angry in June.
Whenever
it was June. It was June, 4.5 months later.
Which he would go back to his apartment. He would come. He never stayed more than a couple nights consecutively.
Okay. He's coming to get his TV. He's coming to get his mattress and box spring.
Can we
You have a
talk about
counterclaim.
my counterclaim?
You have a counterclaim for damage to the front door.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Damage to the front door.
Kicked my front door down.
Okay. When did he do that?
The day after he was police escorted, they told him not to come back, and the next day he came back and kicked my door down right in front of the police officer.
So he came back with a police officer.
And kicked my door down.
Just a second. He came back with a police officer, and the police officer was there when he broke into your apartment.
Yes, and they were going to take him.
No, tell me what they were going to do. And they did nothing.
Well, they trespassed him from my apartment complex.
I'm asking you, what you're telling me is, madam, which is why I have problems with you right from the get-go. What you're telling me now is he came back to get his property. The next day,
He didn't come back
with a police officer.
Yes.
And what you're telling me, a police officer, and what, you live in Florida?
Yes.
What you want me to believe that a police officer saw him kick down your door, go into your apartment, take property, and did nothing. That's what you want me to believe.
He didn't not do anything. He was completely confused on who actually lived there.
You're telling me a police officer was confused.
I'm telling you the truth. They were very confused on who actually lived there.
Bring me just a second.
They were trying to figure out if it was my apartment, his apartment. I had to go get my property manager, bring my lease that only had my name on it.
You don't understand. The last place you lived with him full-time, your name was on the lease too. Only yours.
Correct.
And you lived together. So now you took his lease again, just in your name, and said, he's not on the lease, he doesn't live here.
We broke up, though.
Okay. All right. He's coming to get his TV, he's coming to get his mattress.
Okay.
And I would like to see a police report. I would like to see.
I also have an iPad.
Just a second. Okay. You're done. You're going to get your TV, your mattress, and your box spring. Dishonest with the police, and you felt that you were being taken advantage of.
Raheem Henry has accused his ex-girlfriend, Erica Christian, of keeping his personal property. Erica claims he broke through her door and stole her belongings.
Now.
Yes, ma'am. I have my Chromebook, my iPad, my office supplies, things that were stolen from my company that whenever he kicked my door down and took things out of my apartment that day.
Okay, now let's get to the company. What kind of work were you involved with when you and the defendant lived together, Mr. Henry?
I did all the graphic design. I made the business cards.
Just a second. Were you involved in graphic design?
Yes, I actually went.
Just a second. Together?
No, it was mainly me.
And you did this over a computer, over a laptop?
Over a tablet, over my iPad.
So the business supplies that she's going to tell me about were for the graphic design business?
Yes, some of the supplies, but I never stole anything. I just had an iPad that I worked on, and I did graphic design on it. That was mine. I gave her cash for it. She found it on Amazon for me for a good deal. I was able to draw on it. She's never had access to it. There's always been my Apple ID on it.
Where is it?
I don't know. The day when I got escorted out, she came out of the apartment. I was going in to get the rest of my belongings, and she was saying, "I can't find my iPad. You have it." And right then and there, I knew she found it and she took it and hid it. So the officer let me go inside to get my belongings. I looked in the closet where I had it wrapped up, gone. I walked outside and was like, "Erica, where's my iPad? I paid for that. I do work on it. That is mine." She said, "I don't know. It's gone. You must have it." Had this whole sob story about it. So still to this day, I have no idea.
Okay. What else?
My iPad that he stole the day that he broke into my apartment, my Chromebook that he stole the day that he broke into my apartment. Do you want me to just pass it to you?
Did you take a printer?
I'm so sorry.
I wasn't able to leave with anything because they made me have to go through a civil suit because she started claiming stuff and saying it was hers and it wasn't mine. So the officer didn't even let me go back inside the apartment.
I want to know, when you went in the presence of a police officer, whether you pushed down the door, kicked down the door or not, unless I have a police report, I don't actually believe that the police officer...
He was my escort. I actually met him.
Did you take any electronics with you when you left?
I didn't leave with anything.
Okay, George, don't give me a whole bunch of papers. What I'd like to see is a police report or any other documentation that he took anything the day after you had him evicted from the apartment where he was living.
She didn't even have me evicted.
I have the receipts of the stuff that he stole.
He said he didn't take anything. He said the police officer was there, wouldn't let him take a printer. I mean, those are heavy electronics. Yeah. And that was the only other time he was in the apartment.
He also checked my car.
No, he didn't.
Unless you have some sort of a police report for me, Miss Christian, I don't believe you. I think that you were really angry. I think that you were really angry because he left in October. You took him back in February. You found out that he was not being straight up front with you, and you were dishonest with the police, which is all part of being angry and felt that you were being taken advantage of. According to you, you was together so much so that he bought you a television set a month before you threw him out for your birthday that cost thousands of dollars. That's what you just told me.
Ma'am, he bought that TV in February for me for an early birthday present. He bought it for an early birthday present and told me...
He's coming to get, listen to me, he's coming to get his TV, he's coming to get his box spring, he's coming to get his mattress. It's a court order. It's a court order with a marshal in 5 days from today. Do you understand?
I also have
5 days from
my
today.
Countersuit, my false police reports, the false injunction, everything that he did.
I have to tell you something. The same way that I'm not entertaining because it's over, this fib that you told to the police, which caused him to be... don't interrupt me. I'm not entertaining. You filed restraining orders against each other?
She filed...
Just a second. You filed restraining orders. Do you have one currently? The answer is no.
No.
Do you have a restraining order against him?
No, ma'am.
Good. It's exactly what I thought. Because neither one of you have to say goodbye. You have to stop being angry, but you have to give him back his property.
I only wanted the restraining
TV, mattress, box spring, 5 days from today. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished with this case. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think that it was unfair.
I'm pretty much just happy it's all over.
Broke up with me without even a text message, a phone call, nothing.
She just took it and ran with it, and she decided she was going to take matters into her own hands and be spiteful.
Very single. No more relationships for a while.
It's definitely time to move forward, move past it.
The good one is out there, but I have not found him yet.
It's just nice that at least it's over. It's a weight lifted off my shoulders.
I sort of felt sorry for him. He probably deserved some of it, but you can't lie to the police.
I think she was being vindictive by saying he doesn't live here. He doesn't live here. He sort of kind of lives here if you're being truthful. But it's always a good idea to have your name on the lease if you can, because that's all the officer has to look at in a squabble like what happened between them.
Yeah, it's like it's almost between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
If your name is not on the lease, you're not responsible for the rent.
Yep.
And I've usually suggested that when you're living together, you don't have both people's name on the lease, because in the event that you separate, who's going to stay in the apartment? And if you're the one who leaves, your former partner may say to you, don't worry, you leave, I'll take over the rent. But if they don't, you're still on the hook with the landlord. So
there's pros and cons to both.
But it's an exit strategy. Yeah. And people have to be smart enough. You see, he had an exit strategy. His name wasn't on the lease. Yeah. But then he needed it. But I think she was being dishonest. And I think his brother did, in fact, give him some old furniture. Who cares about that? It's from decades ago.
You only stay a few nights. You're not bringing your furniture.
Your couch, your TV, yeah. Anyway, they just have to get over it and move on.
Put a period.
Put a period. Now he has his TV and he has
belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 27, Irvin versus Irvin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Irwin, this is your dad?
Yes, he is.
And you're 19?
Yes, I am.
According to what I read in your complaint, your parents divorced when you were 10.
Yes.
And your father was your primary custodian. You lived with him.
Yes, I did.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I did.
When you were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, did you live with your father?
At the age of 15, I moved out because...
Okay, so at age 15, you moved out?
Yes.
Because here you said, when I was 18, my father kicked me out of the house for no good reason.
Yes.
Guess what? Well, you've just told me that you left the house when you were 15.
Yes, and I lived with my mother for 2 years, and...
Okay, so from age 15 to 17, you lived with your mother.
Yes.
Is that because you were having difficulty with your father?
Yes.
Okay, and then you went to live with your mother?
Yes.
But that didn't last?
No.
So now, at 17, you go back to your father?
Yes.
And you stayed with him until you were 18?
Yes, correct.
So far, I have the fact that your family is a little dysfunctional, but that you had certain problems.
I moved out when I was 18.
Just a second. Would that be a fair statement, that you had some problems?
No, it would not be.
Okay. What high school did you graduate from?
It's a school partnered with the National Guard for kids that are off track to get them back on track.
Did you have to pay for that school?
No, they are paid by the government.
Could you look them up for me?
Yeah, it's a residential program for youths aged 16 to 18 who've dropped out of school or who are seriously behind in credits and need to catch up quickly.
Okay, so you were dropped out of school?
No.
Or seriously behind?
Yes.
Dropped out or behind in credits.
Okay. And how old were you when you graduated from...
I was 17 years old.
And so at that point, you moved in with your father?
Yes.
And why did you leave when you were 18?
He had evicted me.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me your version of his evicting you when you were 18, because this case involves you're suing your father for items that he disposed of that were yours, and you want this court to award you $7,400 for the things that he disposed.
He evicted me when I was 18 because I was buying my first car, and he got jealous of the car I had, and he stated that when I moved back in for the second time. He evicted me the second...
No. We're on the first time that your father evicted you, not the second time. The first time your father evicted you, I can ask him, or you want me to stay with you?
You can ask him.
Fine. Tell me why you evicted her the first time, which you did.
The main reasons would be that she agreed to pay rent, which she never did. She
working?
Off and on. I'd say over the past 2 years, she's probably had, from my guesstimate, 15 to 20 jobs, all ranging from an hour or a day, I think the longest being about 3 months. Can't maintain a job, would prefer to smoke pot all day in her room and hang out with her boyfriend, basically. Which at the time, for the first eviction, she did not know Corey.
Okay.
But she still does the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. That's what you indicate here. So that was the reason that you evicted her the first time. And that was maybe in June?
I would have filed that June 9th of 2021.
June. Okay. But she came back shortly thereafter, in October.
The sheriffs removed her August 13th, 2021.
Is that because you asked her to leave and she wouldn't?
It's a 3-step process. And I had a 24-hour notice posted to the door after 34 days.
Well, she's your daughter.
Yeah.
So there must have been some discussion, Mr. Irwin, with her, you saying to her, listen, this is not working out.
There wasn't a discussion, Your Honor.
Was not?
I served her the first notice. We talked about it.
Oh, you talked about it?
Prior to me filing. I told her I would do it. I don't think she believed me.
She knew you wanted her to leave as a result of that discussion?
Yes.
And she didn't?
She did not.
She had lived with you off and on, with the exception of 2 years that she lived with her mother, and part of it in a residential program. It's a residential program, correct?
Yes.
When she lived with you, she was 10 years old. Can you tell me, Mr. Irwin, from the time she was 10 until the time she was 18 and she was ultimately evicted, what items in the house she purchased? Bed, TVs, anything big?
She never purchased. Run back.
And to the best of your knowledge, had your daughter maintained any sort of gainful employment the last 3 years?
No.
So other than the clothes she came back with when she was 17, there were no big-ticket items?
There were a few by the time I had to evict her the second time, but I would have furnished those, being, bed set, furniture,
bed.
Tempur-Pedic bed. I think that's part of what she's really wanting out of this $7,400.
Okay, so you purchased a bed?
Yes.
Because you didn't have one in the room where she was?
I was just trying to take care. Yeah, I was using the room for my own purposes. I live alone until she moved back in, and usually welcoming of my daughter coming home. So I furnished a room.
Okay, so that's why you left the first time. The first time you left because he got annoyed that you were hanging around doing nothing and smoking pot.
I did pay rent,
right.
too.
Right. And weren't doing it much.
No, I was not smoking often.
We're not doing much, is what I said.
Yes, I had a job. I worked at the beginning of the year.
For how many days?
I worked there for about 3 months, and then I worked as a kennel technician for about 2 months.
What happened to both those jobs?
My dad, his alcoholism, he would never let me sleep in the room as I was paying rent, and he would lock me out. He would lock me out. He would lock me out, and he would flip the garage switch, so I wasn't able to get access to the house. I wasn't able to get clean, so I couldn't obtain the job, and my mental health wasn't there for that job, so that's why I took the kennel technician job, and that's when he evicted me.
Where are you living now?
With my boyfriend.
That's him?
Yes.
And where are you working now?
I am unemployed.
Sorry, that's easy. So now you're not working. Now nobody's locked you out. Nobody's made it impossible for you to work. And what kind of work does your boyfriend do?
He is construction. I do DoorDash.
Okay. Your boyfriend is construction?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is 20 years old.
You're Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you live with?
My mom and her new husband.
How did I know that? How did I just know that? It's so perfect to be old that, I mean, I ask the questions. I could have asked the questions and answered the company that you work for.
Landscape.
Do you work for them full time?
Yes, I do.
For how long?
I've been working for them about 2 months now.
2 months?
Yes.
Prior to that, what did you do?
I worked for Chewy.
Chewy, the dog products?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to that job?
I just wasn't liking the job anymore, and I thought I could do a lot harder work, and that's what I strive to do, is just continue trying to be the best person I can.
And what does your girlfriend do all day when you're out in your landscaping job for the last 2 months?
She stays busy going to the gym and making sure that everything is in tip-top shape, and just bringing me lunch when I'm on my break for work.
And you're living in your mom's house. Be a fair statement. You don't have to be a math wizard, which I am not, because you don't have enough money to move out into your own place.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your mom work?
Yes, she does.
Who else lives in the house?
Her newly husband.
Now, you have a room in your mom's house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it furnished?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who bought the furniture?
I bought the bed set, and...
Tell me when you bought the bed set.
I bought it about 2 years ago because we moved there recently.
So what you're telling me is you purchased a new mattress?
Yes.
With your earnings?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was it?
It was about $1,500.
And if you left the house, you would want to take your mattress because you bought it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wouldn't take any of the other furniture in the house because you didn't buy it.
Yes, correct.
Whether it's your dresser or a TV in your room, your parents bought that.
Yeah.
The mattress you bought.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you can sit. Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work.
Claims her father, Neil Irwin, owes for personal belongings.
Now, I'm going to sort of pull this together. Eventually, you moved back into the house after an initial eviction, and you weren't doing well, I assume.
Yes.
And then you came back a couple of months later and asked your father if you could move back in.
Yes.
And he said, okay.
Yes.
And that didn't work out. He was unhappy with the arrangement.
I was paying rent before. He was kicking me out, so I decided not to pay rent.
Whatever the reason, he wasn't happy with it. You were gone for a couple of months.
He evicted me, yes.
Yes. Well, he evicted you for a reason, Miss Irwin. You have to stop being a baby. He evicted you for a reason. He took you back because you went there. You said, I have no place to go. I assume, without going into specifics, because you look a little frightened, and I don't have to get that crazed with you because it sounds like a very sad situation. He said it's not working out again. I want you to leave. And when you left, you did not, according to you, take your stuff. And your father, at some point after he received a text message from you, which I assume you have, sir.
I do.
Which said, have a nice life. After he received that, waited a while and disposed.
That was a statement I made because I asked him to help me fill up my tires because they needed air, and I saw him pull into the Safeway parking lot and leave with his groceries, and he never helped me.
Okay, so you said have a nice life. And then you want a whole bunch of things from the house. Now, I want you to tell me, with your limited work history, which you have, hardly enough to sustain yourself, because in October you came back to him and said, I need a place to live. So I want you to tell me what you purchased.
I purchased the Tempur-Pedic bed.
And who did you purchase it from?
My father.
You purchased it from your father?
Yes, he made the original purchase and said I could just give him the money, which I did.
Okay. And how much did you give him for the mattress?
$3,000.
That's incorrect.
Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work. You don't work.
The first one
This
was
doesn't tell me
cash
anything.
Transaction that
this
he
doesn't
made
tell,
withdrawal.
this doesn't tell me anything. You want to tell me that tells me nothing. You want to give that to her. 3 months while you claim you were paying your father rent $3,000.
It was the leftover money from me purchasing my car.
Oh, I don't believe that. For 1 second. Okay, you want to tell me about the mattress, sir?
Okay, simply put, I got one for myself when she wasn't living with me, and the mattress I furnished her with, it was a Ford model. He gave me a good deal on it. I think it retails about $3,500. I got it for $2,300. My daughter and I did have an agreement that she could purchase the mattress for $1,800. However, as you may have figured out, that did not occur.
And this was after she moved back in October, or when she was...
Yep, yes it was.
After she moved back in October?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The mattress is staying where it is. Okay. Now let's go to dresser, nightstand, and TV. So you acknowledge that none of those things you purchased, bed, dresser, nightstand, and TV.
No, I did not purchase them.
Okay. Now that's your father's. He threw out my clothes, shoes, and jewelry. Now, you were evicted.
Yes.
Was it an actual eviction? Did marshals come to the house?
No. I got served the eviction notice on June 30th. He illegally locked me out.
No. June 30th.
Yes.
So on June 30th, you were given an eviction notice that said that you had to be out on what date?
In 30 days.
Okay. So far, is that correct, Mr. Irwin?
It's fairly correct. I do have the 30-day no-cause notice to quit that she was served.
Okay. And on what date did you leave?
On July 1st, because he had thrown a camera
Just a second.
at my boyfriend.
You left on July 1st?
Yes.
Tell me how you left.
I packed a small bag, and I had left.
You packed a small bag that contained what?
A few of my clothes and whatever I could grab for a few nights.
And where did you go?
To my boyfriend's house.
So you went to Corey's house?
Yes.
Do you have a laptop?
I do not.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, I do.
Did you take the phone?
Yes, I did.
You took some clothes with you, and you knew that you had an eviction notice, correct?
Yes.
Tell me what jewelry you allege your father threw out.
He threw out my necklace my boyfriend had bought me. He threw out...
Which boyfriend? Up, Corey. Tell me about the necklace you purchased.
I had purchased it from K Jewelers. I had purchased it for about $250.
Okay. When?
On her birthday, just a little before.
When's her birthday?
February 20th.
Did she wear the necklace?
Yes, Your Honor.
Every day?
No, just on occasions, whenever we'd go out and do stuff and all that.
When she came to your house with her bag, did you ever see the necklace again?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Do you know where this necklace is?
I do not.
Did you throw away a necklace?
I guess anything's possible because when she left and sent me the have a nice rest of your life text, it looked like a hoarder's room, so I guess anything could have been in there.
Who cleaned it up?
I did.
Didn't see a necklace?
Didn't see a necklace.
Okay. Were you looking for anything of value?
I wasn't looking for anything. To me, it looked like old clothes that probably hadn't been worn in years.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear out the room.
Fine. Have a seat. Other than that necklace, what other jewelry did you have?
I had some rings I purchased from Ojai, California on a trip I previously took for my dad.
Okay. What else? You took a bag of clothes. What specific, because you had jewelry, shoes. I assume you took some shoes with you because
No,
you were going
I
to be
did
there?
not.
Well, you were wearing a pair of shoes.
Yes, I was. I was wearing my old shoes.
Okay. When you got rid of all of the stuff, Mr. Irwin, you didn't go through any of it?
No, I did not.
Did you give her any notice that she had 10 days, 2 weeks to get her stuff?
I did not give her notice.
On what date did you dispose of all of her stuff?
It would have been around July 20th, about 20 days after or so.
Okay. Well, but even according to your eviction notice, she had 30 days to vacate.
Well, if you read the actual eviction notice, it's 5 days. After 5 days, you have to file another part of the eviction notice, which is unlawful detainer, meaning that she is now there illegally. So she left within the 5 days, willfully.
I'm 19 years old, and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years.
Of throwing out her personal property. Neil claims he paid for Isabel's belongings.
Okay, so you didn't file the next step.
I did not.
So she left within 5 days. That was the agreement. And she just left the place a mess.
A mess, yes.
Okay, who is this?
This is my mother, Janice Leonard.
Could you stand up, please, for a moment? Miss Leonard, how many grandkids do you have?
Well, from Neil to, I have 6.
Did you and Miss Irwin get along?
Oh, yes. She came to, we lived in Idaho at the time. I had an equestrian center. So every summer she would be there all summer long. We taught her to ride. She had the best horses. She jumped. She was a fantastic rider. But as the years went on, it was just getting more difficult. When she turned 14, her behavior changed drastically.
Can you describe, I know that you moved back to where your son lived. And according to the answer, he gave you a key to the house. He was in Las Vegas on a trip.
That's correct.
Could you describe when you went into the house what Miss Irwin's room looked like?
Every time I would go over there, the house would be worse every single day. And there was a very strong, pungent smell, so I thought the dogs were going to the bathroom. Her room was a total disaster. There's clothes literally strewn, I don't know how tall, but 12 inches maybe. Nothing was ever picked up. And one day, before Neil came back, I said, this place is really smelling bad. And later I learned that they were smoking marijuana. They would be in the bedroom and giggling and in the bathroom together. And when I would come, she'd only be there for maybe 20 minutes and they both would leave. There was no respect, I have to say. I've seen her in action and she can be very nice and very polite, but there's a whole nother side that is actually very scary, to the point when she was, years ago, 14, my husband.
Isabel, is that what they call you, or they have a
Yes.
Isabel. Word of advice, caution, you're 19?
Yes.
You look older. That's not a compliment. You seem like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you.
But I see issues there of blaming everyone else, and it's very possible that your father and your mother and other people share the blame in your issues. That's possible. But at this point in your life, Isabel, you're just starting, and you can either spend your life blaming somebody else, parents, grandparents, siblings, for where you are, or you can say, I have to get myself some help. And put a period, because I'm 19 years old and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years. Your father looks better. Your grandmother looks better. They look appropriate to their age and stage and clearer. So I think that you should get some help. I also think, Mr. Irwin, there were things in her room, and believe me, I have seen rooms like that. You know, I have been involved with lots of kids and grandchildren. Most of them grow up, and once they get a place of their own, they walk around with a bottle of Windex and Bounty and clean up after everybody's fingerprints. But if they're living in their parents' house or their grandparents' house, they live like slobs. Sometimes that never changes. But, you know, there's messy, and then there is dysfunctional. And what you are describing is dysfunctional. And I think if your daughter was honest, she would look and she would say, that's dysfunctional. You were in the room, Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stand up. Would you describe your girlfriend's room in her father's house as evidence of being dysfunctional? Not a right here, Corey.
Okay.
Does her room look like your room?
No, it does not, Your Honor.
Would your mother permit your room to look like her room? It's not an answer, Corey. Would your mother permit your room that you're sharing to look like the room that was in his house? Looked for the necklace. He gave me an honest answer to everything that I asked him. So the necklaces was probably mixed in with a load of garbage that was there.
To say the least.
That was accumulated. It was like a hoarder. So I'm
Your
awarding
Honor,
you.
I have a
you give
video
it to your
of the
boyfriend.
room.
$250 to go and buy her a new necklace. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I agree with the judge's decision 100%. I think it was very fair.
I think it wasn't fair.
She has so much more potential than what she's doing right now.
I was just trying to get my belongings, and he literally just never wanted me to do it.
She's a great kid, and all reality, she's just making some wrong decisions right now.
I made any really bad decisions. It's all been influenced by my father. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I hope she grows up, and I love her.
I know I need to grow up, but he evicted me, gave me 2 days, and I didn't want to make my dad mad.
I hope you weren't talking about me when you were thinking of your grandchildren keeping messy rooms. I try and be neat and nice and organized.
Well, I wasn't thinking about you today as a law school graduate, but I do remember when you were in college and you were staying with us rather than in the dorm, keeping your door closed because it looked like somebody hit your room with a Mixmaster.
Maybe just a few too many open suitcases, I guess.
Yeah, open, unpacked suitcases. But got older and more respectful, and then you had your own apartment, and I remember visiting your apartment, and I said, who is it that lives here? I couldn't figure out who lived here. It's not the same person who lived with me.
It's a maturity thing, and I think I was shocked to see that she was only 19 years old, in line with what you said to her, that she looks older beyond her years, and some difficulty can do that to you, but you have to take accountability and do what you can to make your life organized and set yourself up for success.
That, you know, all that is true. I'm not sure that she has all the tools to do that, and I don't know if she has anybody there to guide her. It's too bad because she seems like an intelligent young woman, and her grandma.
For medical bills after being hit by a car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2020, Hildreth Mahasani versus Santiago.
Thank you. Miss Hildreth. Yes. Pronounce your last name for me, sir.
Mahasani.
Mahasani.
Yes.
You two were crossing the street in San Diego?
In Carlsbad Village.
Is that in San Diego?
It is. It's a suburb of San Diego.
Is that where you live?
Correct, in Carlsbad.
And you were hit by Miss Santiago, who was driving her mother's car.
Correct.
Miss Santiago acknowledges that she hit you, and you were seriously injured. You've had shoulder surgery. You were both injured.
Correct.
When did this happen?
This happened on Friday, September 4th, 2020.
I just have a couple of preliminary questions before I get into the facts of it.
Sure.
I assume that since this accident happened in 2020, that you tried to sue either the defendant and or her mother as the car's owner.
Well, we would have done so, but the driver was uninsured.
That's the question. You would have done so,
Yes.
except the mother had no insurance.
It is my knowledge that the mother had insurance, but that and which I have the evidence, that her daughter was excluded from the policy.
The policy, and therefore the insurance company disclaimed.
Correct.
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
That's why your mother's not here.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that's why your mother's not here, Miss Santiago.
Without her knowing.
Miss Santiago, that's why your mother's not here.
No.
Well, were you excluded from the insurance policy? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Then you shouldn't have been driving the car.
Yeah, I know.
Just a second. then you shouldn't have been driving the car.
I took the car. Well, it was
I didn't ask you a question.
responsibility,
I didn't
and I took
ask
the car
you.
without
Do you understand?
information.
They don't listen to you when I'm speaking. When I ask you a question, you'll answer me. I don't want to hear some pat answer. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries.
Why would I say I'm sorry if they didn't pay attention when they were crashing?
You weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
But I was paying attention.
You weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
But why they didn't pay attention?
I'm not speaking to you. I just told you why. Why should I say I'm sorry? Hey, be quiet. Why should I say I'm sorry if they weren't paying attention? Because you weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. If you weren't behind the wheel of a car, whether they were paying attention or not would be irrelevant. You weren't supposed to be driving. She thinks you have a big mouth. You don't have a bigger mouth than me, madam. I guarantee you, the last person who drove yesterday that wasn't supposed to drive yesterday because they were drunk killed six.
Drunk.
Nobody's listening to you. When I'm speaking, nobody's listening to you. Killed 6 people. Last person who drove that wasn't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car killed 6 people. You were not supposed. Hey, drunk. I'm speaking. You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. Don't you understand that?
I understand.
Are you stupid? You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. You were an excluded driver, and you were an excluded driver for a reason.
Not only that, you're.
I just don't like stupid. Our investigation, which is after you notified the insurance company, determined that the driver of the insured's car, Jennifer Ramirez, was not covered by the policy. That's what you told me.
Correct.
I don't understand this. You were walking, correct?
Correct. Both.
What is this? Your driving privileges will be suspended on November 21st. What is that?
I think there was a misunderstanding that we were actually driving a vehicle. Yeah. And when I called the DMV and I explained that, no, we're actually pedestrians, then they said, oh, I'm sorry, disregard that.
Yeah.
Stupid.
And
do you have a letter from them indicating that this is wrong?
They just told me that we can disregard it, and they just corrected it. That's all they did.
And it was stopped because she was also unlicensed?
Just a second. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I'm not there with Big Mouth. Okay. This happened on September 4th, 2020. What time of the day?
It was in the evening.
What time?
Was about 8 p.m.
It was, around 8 o'clock.
Light or dark outside?
Dark.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the intersection where this happened?
It is, Your Honor.
Ms. Santiago, is that a fair and accurate representation of the intersection where this happened?
Yes.
So at the intersection where this happened, there were lines across the highway indicating pedestrian walkway.
Correct.
And there were 2 signs indicating pedestrian walkway.
There were 3 signs. One in the center median and 1 on each side.
On September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license?
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahasani claim 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago walked into oncoming traffic.
Now, on September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license?
I didn't, Your Honor.
I said it's either a yes or a no. Did you have a valid driver's license?
No.
Did you ever have a valid driver's license?
No.
Do you have a valid driver's license today?
No, Your Honor, because they...
That's a no. What's your name?
Vanessa.
What?
Giles.
Stand up. Did you come with her today?
Yes.
How did you get here?
I drove. My license.
Just a second. You drove?
Yes.
In whose car?
My car.
What kind of car is it?
Kia.
Did you ever drive with Miss Santiago?
Yes.
When? Did you ever drive in a car where she was the driver and you were the passenger?
Yes.
When?
September 4th, 2020. 2 years
Other than
ago.
September 4th, 2020, did you ever drive with Miss Santiago where you were the passenger?
Yes.
When?
September 4th.
I said other than September
that,
4th.
no.
Other than September 4th.
Other than that, no.
On September 4th at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Where were you?
We were at the beach. Carlsbad Beach.
Sure, you were at the beach. Who else was at the beach?
Santiago and another friend. He's a minor. He's 16.
There were 3 of you at the beach.
Yes.
Anybody else that you knew at the beach?
No.
How long had you been at the beach?
Like for an hour.
So you got there at 6 o'clock in the evening?
We got there at 7. We were going back home at 8.
So you got to the beach at 7. What did you do at the beach at 7 o'clock?
We would just...
Santiago pick you up, or did you meet at her house? Just think, take a breath. Did you meet at her house, or did Miss Santiago pick you up?
She picked me up.
How far do you live from her?
2 minutes away.
And what about the 16-year-old minor?
3 minutes away.
Did she pick up the 16-year-old minor?
Yes.
How old was Miss Santiago in September of 2020?
18.
Are you a good friend of hers?
Yes, I am.
You knew she didn't have a driver's license?
Yes.
Did you know why she didn't have a driver's license?
She was still studying for a test.
Had she taken the test before?
Yes, she has.
She had taken the test before.
Yes.
Do you remember how many times?
Yes.
How many times did she take the test?
2 times.
And the 2 times she took the test, she failed it?
Yes, she did.
Okay. So now she's driving without a license because she's failed her driving test twice at the time of this. So she's studying to pass it maybe for the 3rd time, right?
Yes.
And now we have 2 years later, she still doesn't have a driver's license.
Yes.
Do you know why?
No.
Well, you're her good friend. Didn't you ask her? Well, it's 2 years later. Did you ever pass your driving test?
She hasn't yet.
Sit. Now tell me what happened at 8 o'clock on the 4th of September, 2020.
I have pictures if you like, and would it be okay to approach the screen to show you better?
No, it's not necessary. You were crossing the street.
Correct.
In a crosswalk, she hit you.
Correct. We were.
You
That's
were
what
crossing
happened.
the street in a crosswalk, and she hit you.
Yeah. So we had come to the crosswalk sign on the left side of the photo. We pressed the button. It illuminated the flashing lights to indicate that it was okay to cross. We looked to the left. Those 2 cars were already parked. We proceeded to the middle and noticed that the car furthest, in the furthest lane from us, that car was already...
Hey, don't speak. Hey, listen, for someone who can't take and pass a driver's test 3 times, at least I would keep my mouth shut until I look at you for an answer. Do you understand?
Yes.
And it was estimated by the officer that we...
No. She hit you in a crosswalk. That's a crosswalk. This young lady knew I'm not... Did you hear me? I'm not speaking to you. You don't understand this was a really bad day for this kind of case to come into court. You do understand that?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you know why this is a very bad day for your case to come into court?
No.
Then you don't read the newspapers. I suggest if you read the newspaper, maybe you would be able to pass your driving test. Because either you failed the written portion or you failed the driving portion, one or the other. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Now we understand each other. Now you're almost at I'm sorry. You're almost at I'm sorry. When the defendant's car struck you, where did you land?
I have photos to show.
I'd like to see it.
It kind of shows on the second photo there.
Oh, you hit her windshield. Who hit her windshield?
We
Is that you?
both did, Your Honor. And the hood.
That's not true. I only saw that her husband, that he hit the shield. It wasn't her.
What an idiot. Kevin, can I see the police report, please?
Sure.
See?
I'd also like you to show her these. I just want to I just want her to take a look at them. To know what happens when you act irresponsibly. And you do things that you're not supposed to do, like take a car and drive it when you have no license, when you failed your driving test twice.
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahassani are accusing 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago of hitting them in a crosswalk while she was driving without a license.
Okay, your last name is?
Giles?
You spoke to the police that day.
Yes, I did.
I don't know what you're doing here as a witness. She stated she did not see what happened. That's what it says here.
Yes.
Now, just a second. That's what it says here. Uncross your arms. Now you can sit down. Gillis stated she did not see what happened. However, she identified Miss Santiago as the driver. And then there was a witness. Witness 1 stated she was riding as a passenger in a vehicle driving northbound on the 3100 block of Carlsbad Boulevard. The two plaintiffs were crossing the road in a marked crosswalk on the south side of the intersection of Carlsbad Boulevard and Oak Avenue. The two were crossing from the west side of the street to the east side of the street. The yellow warning lights next to the crosswalk were flashing.
They were not.
Witness 1 observed Plaintiff 1 driving northbound towards the crosswalk at a fast speed. She drove through. I'm speaking, not you.
I was not.
I'm speaking, not you. I'm reading from a statement in the police report from a witness who stopped when this accident happened that you don't know. Neither do you. Okay, so now we have a witness who neither one of you know, who said the yellow lights were flashing, even if they were the officer who did a blood test there for alcohol. States as follows. During the investigation, P1, that would be you, displayed objective symptoms of intoxication. I noticed her eyes were slightly red and watery. Her speech was very quiet. I determined P1 was under the influence of cannabis.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second. Do you have any supplementary police reports?
The only other thing that I have from the officer is an email that he...
No. Okay. An email to whom?
An email from the police officer to us.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what you said to the police officer was, and the police officer responded to you, that the report came back negative.
Correct.
And he said, I'm not changing it. Therefore, it's not a criminal matter. You have to sue her civilly. Correct. Because clearly the accident was her fault.
Correct.
Were you taken to the hospital that day?
We both were.
And you were taken to jail?
Yeah.
When was the last time you took a driving test? Month and year?
I haven't taken no driving test.
When was the last time you took a driving test, madam? You failed twice. So I want to know when the last time was that you took a driving test.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Did you take a driving test in the year 2021?
Yeah, I did.
Did you pass that driving test?
No.
Was that your third before 2020?
No.
So I asked you, in 2021, did you take it? You said yes, you didn't pass it. And I asked you, was that the third or the fourth test that you had?
That was my second.
No. I don't know how much more that a court system can do, but to say to people who don't have driver's licenses, especially in your case where you tried to get a license but failed to pass on at least 2 occasions before this incident, which means that you were a risk to be on the road because you couldn't pass a driving test twice before this incident. Now, you want to tell me whether you, and this requires a short answer, not one of your long ones. Did you have your mother's permission to take the car that day to pick her up and go to the beach?
No.
Have you ever had your mother's permission to take the car and go anywhere?
No.
So in effect, if you had no license and you didn't ask for permission, then you stole the car.
No.
What do you mean no? You didn't have permission of the owner to take the car. You weren't a licensed driver. Therefore, there was no insurance. Well, let's go back. Did you ever ask your mother to use the car?
No, not at all.
And what happened after you had this accident in your mother's car and after you got out of jail? What happened between you and your mother?
Well, she was sad because I was in jail. And, well, she was also mad because, like, why would I take the car without her permission?
Why did you take the car without her permission?
Well, I honestly didn't thought that this would happen.
Nobody thinks that an accident is going to happen. I don't think you intentionally hit these two people.
No.
I don't think you intend.
Before I told them that I was sorry, and I'm telling them again that I'm sorry.
Good. That's better. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I'm really pleased with the judge's decision.
I didn't see anything until the guy hit the windshield.
We have a young child, so we understand that the driver was young and mistakes happen.
I started screaming and I was scared.
For about 3 hours in the hospital, I didn't know if she was going to live or die, basically.
I was so scared, like I just stayed there. I was in shock.
It's been rough.
I told them that I was sorry that the accident happened.
I had like internal bleeding in my arm. I have loss of range of motion in my hand.
Well, I didn't even went to see them because I was so scared.
It was the unluckiest day and the luckiest day of our life. So we're here and we're grateful for that.
I was super scared. Like, I was like, I killed them. Like, I was crying in jail.
We both have to deal with physical injuries, but like Lisa said, it was the unluckiest and luckiest moment of our life, so we're grateful that we're here.
Being pretty close to 18 myself, I can understand driving my father or mother's car and maybe not understanding if they had insurance or me not having insurance myself. So I could understand and sympathize maybe with not knowing whether a car was insured or not. But you know for sure if you went 1 time, 2 times, 3 times and did not pass a driver's test and you don't hold a license in your wallet, at 18, you know whether or not you have a license, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
No.
थोड़ी हौसले मेरा खुद आम हो रहा है. You can subscribe my YouTube channel.
हाँ हथियार का है.
ये देख सकते हैं. Subscribe my YouTube channel.
छोड़ा. हथियार शुरू.
आस्ते बस रिकॉर्ड से भेजो
बिजी फोटो काट के दूर रास्ता में फोटो काट